Welcome back to our Leftist Sports Show on the TIR YouTube channel. Beyond the Red Zone, as far as TIR goes, we'll be back tomorrow. So if you're enjoying what we do here on TIR, please give the show a like. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe and don't forget that notification bell so you know whenever we go live. Those passive gestures go a very long way. We've been gone for a little bit here on TIR, here on the Red Zone. And a lot of sports have been happening. So I need to hurry up and just get into it so I can bring Mac in because he's on a limited time. He's like, Jay, can't fuck around tonight like we usually do. So, and it's a new look, Mac, too. When you see, there's so much more background now because he's so much smaller. The first quarter of the NFL season is officially in the books, and we already have our first coaching casualty. Robert Saleh has been fired by the New York Jets following their second consecutive loss, despite preseason predictions that their offense would thrive under a healthy Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have been held to under 20 points yet again. This marks another chapter in Saleh's disappointing tenure in New York, where he has yet to deliver a winning season. Just a few years ago, Saleh was one of the most sought-after assistant coaches, poised to lead a franchise to glory. But his firing raises questions that go beyond the win-loss column. Some speculate that his dismissal was influenced by his public support for Lebanon. Saleh, the first Muslim-American head coach in the NFL and of Lebanese descent, wore a Lebanese flag during the team's last game, sparking controversy. With the current climate of pro-Israel media pressure and propaganda, it's difficult to ignore the potential connection between his political stance and his abrupt dismissal. While mid-season firings are not uncommon in high-profile big-market teams like the Jets, especially when expectations aren't met, this situation may reflect the increasing intersection of politics and sports in the age of McCarthyite crackdowns on dissent. On the college football front, it was a week full of shocks, with 5 of the top 11 teams losing, but perhaps the biggest upset came from Alabama's loss to Vanderbilt, a game that has left many wondering, is Vandy for real? Or is this just the unpredictability that makes college sports so compelling? It's a reminder of why we love college athletics. Week in, week out, anything can happen, and underdog victories keep fans hooked. Meanwhile, the Major League Baseball postseason is in full swing, and the Dodgers find themselves on the ropes. Could the Padres, their rivals, down the I-5, or up the I-5 rather, be the ones to deliver another, or I guess it'd be down the I-5. I'm so far south here in Mexico, everything is up the I-5. Be the ones to deliver another early October exit for the perennial contenders. And what about Shohei Ohtani? The two-way sensation has had a season for the ages, but his bat has been quiet so far in the postseason. Can he rediscover his magic and lead the team to glory? Or will his remarkable season end in disappointment? A lot to talk about. To talk about this with me, my new slender friend, Mac.
I wish I could get some fireworks to like pop off behind me, but I don't think my roommate would appreciate the fire that would inevitably start. You know?
By the way, I was talking to Toussaint, and we usually talk on Facebook Messenger. And if you get excited on a Facebook Messenger call, like a video call, they make fireworks go off behind you, by the way.
Oh.
So if you want to talk to your roommate and be like, dude, I'm so jacked, and then do like this. You know how the thumb comes up? But if you do like this, then fireworks and all these things, it's like a big 4th of July behind you now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meta.
Yeah. Way to go, Zuck. Fucking
That's
twat.
what you get, dude. That's what you get.
So yeah, Robert Saleh. Now, the thing is, getting fired by an asshole like Woody Johnson probably is the best thing in the world for him.
Okay.
Because Woody Johnson is just a shit team owner. And
Okay.
he's probably going to end up back in San Francisco with Kyle. Like, let's be honest. The Niners defense isn't the Niners defense that we thought it was going to be. And Saleh, with the amount of talent on that side of the ball,
Yeah.
the Niners defense would be just gross to watch. It wouldn't even be fair.
I mean, are you taking something away from the Cardinals? I watched that game because the bar I go watch games at, the owner's a massive Niners fan. And we had turned the game off because everyone was like, oh, this game is over, because the Niners were up like 24-13, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm taken away, but like there's something definitely, like, injuries are hitting the Niners pretty bad this year so far, and Kyler Murray has shown when he's healthy and motivated, he can change a game by himself.
Yes.
And there's some offensive talent in Arizona, and I'm not just talking about Marvin Harrison Jr.
James Conner.
I mean, that's the thing. When they get James Conner involved, the Cardinals are always a tough out. It's just when they start getting into we need to throw the ball all the time mode, that's when they kind of like hit the proverbial banana peel and fall over. But no, the Niners are kind of beat up by injuries. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan was expecting to kind of have this kind of adversity that early in the season. But yeah, I mean, Saleh, if Shanahan fired his defensive coordinator in 10 minutes, Saleh would be on a plane to,
do you think he's going to take the rest of the season off, or do you think he's going to fall into a job right away?
No, I think he'll take the rest of the season off because, you got to think, once you become a head coach, that's what you want to do. Like, you don't coach for a million years unless you're Monty Kiffin. He was a defensive coordinator for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
And I believe he only was a head coach at the college level, and it was a small college.
Didn't he have an interim position when someone got fired once?
He might have. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think he ever wanted a head job, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, he's the exception, not the rule, right? But yeah, I can see him taking the year off, seeing how the coaching carousel kind of unwinds. Because I mean, we didn't even make it a third of the way through the season, and Saleh got fired. And someone brought up the Lebanon pin. I don't think that was it. I think it was Aaron Rodgers.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
I think Aaron Rodgers is a diva.
Yeah.
And I think he's hard to deal with at this point.
Yeah.
The guy's only won one Super Bowl. Jesus.
All I'm saying is this. Last week before the game, like, he's talking, like, they're asking about why the offense is so stagnant, right? And you know what the Jets do not ever do? They never put people in motion. Ever. And Rodgers is like, we don't need to do that. Why do you need to do that? Right? And it's like, dude, it actually gives a quarterback a little extra time to make that read. And it also maybe shifts your best player away from the best lockdown corner, giving him a more preferable matchup to get open and bust a big play, right? That's why you put people in motion. Like, why is Aaron Rodgers, riddle me this, right? Why is Aaron Rodgers, a guy, like you said, only won one fucking Super Bowl, going to sit there and bag on something that a guy like Tom Brady, has been to 10, won 7, was a big proponent of? So it's just like, dude, shut the fuck up, Aaron Rodgers, right? But he went on Pat McAfee too and was like, you know what? I had no problem with Robert. I don't know, like, where people get off saying, like, I'm hard to work with. And it's like, dude, Mike McCarthy said you were a pain in the ass to work with.
Look no further.
Yeah, LaFleur said you were a pain in the dick to work with. Maybe they didn't say, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is a colossal pain in my cock. They said it in the PR risk-averse way. He's just a demanding guy to coach. He wants excellence, just like I do. We all know what that means.
About the game? But what did you think about the game that they won, the last win, and Saleh went up to give Rodgers a hug, and Rodgers pushed them off, and he said something to him, and he tried to make a joke of it afterwards.
Yeah, but he was like, he's not a hugger. I don't. That's the thing, man. Like, one, we're not even a third of the way through the season, and the first head coach gets the axe. Of course, he's in New York, and he's coaching Aaron Rodgers, right? you can't really call Aaron Rodgers a coach killer, because how many years was he with McCarthy?
Yeah.
And a lot of that had to do with McCarthy just letting him do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when LaFleur got that job in Green Bay, he told Rodgers, "You're going to run my offense." And Rodgers did not like that. Not even a little bit, right? And look, lo and behold, what happens? He goes on his silence and darkness retreat where he stayed in a yurt and breathed in his own farts for however many days and was like, "I want to go to the Jets." Of all the teams, the Jets.
You know, Dan Marino did that to Jimmy Johnson.
Well, dude,
I'm not running the ball. I'm Dan Marino.
Yeah, like, fuck, run the ball. Fuck you, man. This isn't 1910 anymore. We believe in the forward pass, Jimmy. But you know, it's just I put the onus completely on Rodgers, right? Nathaniel Hackett's there, and he's shown without Aaron Rodgers, his offense is ass. And I think it's so stale that he's showing with Aaron Rodgers, his offense
is the exact
ass.
same. The numbers are the same, and the record is the same. So why'd you get rid of Zach Wilson?
Yeah,
you could have kept Zach Wilson for a lot less.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is they're talking about making that swing for Devontae, and I'm like, dude, Devontae, you are going into like your age 31 year, right?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a dude who actually kind of, like, I call it doing the Derrick Henry now, you know, where I don't eat carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
I only eat lean, you know, proteins, and
Mm-hmm.
I get the right amount of rest. And, you know, Devontae Adams is kind of cutting that same mold, you know? So I can see him playing until he's 40 years old, right? As long as his speed holds up. But like he said, he wanted to win. And when you look at the teams that are like in the Devontae Adams sweepstakes right now,
the Saints,
none of them are winners.
The Saints could win the division, though. The Saints could sneak the division out.
Dude, not with, I'm going to tell you right now, not with Carr out.
How long is he out for?
Dude, he's out at least 4 weeks.
Who's the backup right now?
Spencer Rattler, rookie.
Oh, there we go. Spencer Rattler's got his shot.
Yep. Rookie fourth round pick. He's going to be starting the next game.
Somebody.
You know, I mean, it's just like, you know, maybe, yeah, the NFC South isn't great. But when you look at the cast around Baker Mayfield and just the kind of confidence he's playing with right now, I really think Tampa win that division.
The second time around needs to be the theme song for this season, at least in the first quarter of the season so far.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins coming off a really nasty injury, and actually also with a team that drafted a quarterback that you and I are both very high on in the first round, after acquiring and paying Kirk Cousins an enormous amount of money.
Yeah.
He's playing as well as he's ever played in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the first couple weeks he was getting used to the system. Like, until you play against the ones at full speed, like, you don't know what exactly to do. And I'm not saying Cousins is like a world beater, but when you look at that OT game, what was it?
He looks like a world fucking beater in that game.
Oh my God, he did. He looked phenomenal.
But he's got these weapons on that team that I can't think of a team this reminds me of, because Drake London, who would you, I don't even, Drake London, and this, you're not going to agree with me on this, and that's fine. I don't think he's as fast. He might be a little slower, but he reminds me of Megatron.
To a point. I think for a guy his size, he challenges balls the way Megatron did.
Yeah.
But nobody goes after contested balls the way Megatron did. And that's because Megatron was like 6'4" and 230 pounds of sheer muscle, who ran a 2.40 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
crazy 40 time. Drake London isn't as fast, but he's got crazy box out capability.
Yes. And he showed strong. That. He really showed that in that game, because, you know, he had a lot of contested passes in that Thursday night game. And I mean, I felt horrible at the end of the game because he got knocked out. You know, he had to go back to the blue tent. But I mean, he ended up with like 150 yards receiving that game. And I like how he's developed a good rapport with Cousins. And I like how the Falcons, excuse me, guys, went against what, their initial inclination, even under, a new head coach, and started just feeding Bijan Robinson the ball.
Oh,
right.
That's what I'm saying. That team, Bijan Robinson is a beast.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts finally has someone throwing him the ball consistently, and he's starting to look like what we hoped he'd be coming out of Florida. There's your triplets right there. If that's, let's say in the
Mooney,
90s.
You have Mooney at the wide receiver 2, who is a good complementary piece to Drake London. So like, the Falcons have some pieces on offense. They still have work to do on defense. And I think that's going to be something we come back to all season, except for like those physically dominant defenses that we've seen the last few years. Just because of the way salaries are going now, everybody, like the top people at their positions, are finally getting paid, market value. And I hate using that term, but we're seeing defensive tackles now like, nah, fuck you, bitch. I'm not just a run stopper anymore. I get after the quarterback too. So like, it's time for me to start making like 15 to 20 mil. Right. And in some cases, like Chris Jones out of Kansas City, like he's getting, more than that. So it's harder to keep, even with the salary cap, increasing every year. It's getting harder to keep, like, if they had the same cap rules when Jimmy got to Dallas, that team's only winning one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that like as a slap in their face, but those guys would have like busted the cap. Like Dallas would have had to do a lot of like restructuring, some trades, cutting dudes to get under, so it's a little harder. So you have to really focus on being on player development. That way, if you lose one of those superstars, in the lines, in the trenches, like Isaac said, you can draft a guy, develop him, and plug that young kid in and get 3 to 5 years out of him before it's time for, him to get that big contract. So like it's going to be harder. And I think this is going to really put the onus on front offices to not just take big, stupid swings in free agency or bad trades. Cleveland, excuse me. But it's going to be on player development. And I think when you look at teams like the Niners, McCaffrey goes down, Mason stepped up and had the game of his life.
Did you see the stat on him Sunday that he's rushed in 5 games for more yards than any other Niner running back? And I know a lot of people don't think about Niner running backs like, I don't know, maybe Steeler running backs. But we're talking Roger Craig had some amazing years in San Francisco. Ricky Waters had some highly productive. Garrison Hurst had some highly productive years in San Francisco. Who else do we have? Frank Gore was just a machine in San Francisco. So, that's saying something. Wendell Tyler before that, even Wendell Tyler was 1,000-yard rusher in San Francisco.
And it's crazy. I mean, where they find these guys, it's always at the bottom end of the draft, and there are people that are like, well, it's the Shanahan system. Well, dude, talk shit about his dad's running backs then.
No, you won't, because this is a Bronco channel, bitch.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, he took a guy like Mike Williams, who played like 2 years of college ball after the Marine Corps, and turned him into like 3 straight years of over 1,200 yards.
Let's just, I mean, you can go on a long list. Olandis Gary. Who else?
Yeah, dude. Like
they traded Clinton Portis.
Yeah.
Like, think about that for. It's not like Clinton Portis had a trash career. That might be one of the most fair trades in sports history, where both players had very good Hall of Fame caliber careers. I can't think of a more even trade than that. Hey, I'll give you my number 1 for your number 1 in a different position.
Oh, I mean, and it worked, and like, that's the thing. Like, it's the system. Okay. And I coach here. I want my system to benefit my players, because then I win and I keep my job. That's fucking rad, dude. Right? Like, like with Mason, fucking, I mean, look at the Kyle Shanahan system that allowed Raheem Mostert to have the career he had. right? He was an injury risk coming out of college, you know, and Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel were the only guys that give him a shot. That's why Mostert followed McDaniel to Miami.
And he's been, well, when he's healthy, he plays quite well for the Dolphins.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm okay with that, dude. This is a day and age, unfortunately, where the running back position has been devalued, right? So if you can get a guy like Raheem Mostert, who can freaking get you 1,000 yards a year and, you know, between 6 and 10 touchdowns, and you get him for $2.5 million a year, dude, that's a bargain, you know? And then you're swapping him out with another running, you know what I mean? Like I would, if I were like a defensive minded head coach, or a guy like John Harbaugh who came from Jim Harbaugh, like who came from special teams, I want a guy that runs a system like that, you know, because I can draft guys at the lower end of the draft, plug them in, and know that they are going to have successful seasons to take the onus off my QB. And then my QB can just fuck around and do QB stuff. Right. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. I wish people would just shut the fuck up about it and enjoy it. You know?
I mean, I enjoyed what I saw Sunday. I did miss most of the day games, trying to watch the highlights. I did want to ask you, I kind of want to stay on football for a while. The NFC West is a division I thought was sewn up with San Francisco.
Yeah.
And now the NFC West looks like maybe the most even division. But again, I sent this message. Friend of show, Adolph Reed, is a big sports fan, and there's a bunch of academic cats that talk sports, and I threw my 2 cents in about this year, and I said, I don't know who the definitive best team is. I can tell you that people are going to say the Chiefs, but they definitely get away with a lot of calls I don't know if they're going to get away with in the postseason.
And on top of that, they're down their 2 best receivers. Like, if I'm the Chiefs right now, Jason, I am calling Vegas and being like, listen, I know we're in the same division. You guys are not, and I'm the Chiefs GM.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you guys are not close to competing for the division title. You're not even close for a wild card. And the Raiders aren't. If there's any Raiders fans in here, I'm sorry. Like, you're literally going from Gardner Minshew the third to Aiden O'Connell. And
that's both not an upgrade.
No. And you knew you were going to have both those guys going into the season, and you still did nothing. Right? Like, okay.
I thought they were going to draft Penix.
Dude, I honestly thought they would too. I was surprised that they didn't, right? But like, that's what I'm doing if I'm Kansas City. I'm beating up Vegas. I'm beating up Tennessee. Maybe I can get DeAndre Hopkins out there. Like, the Chiefs have to find someone for Mahomes to throw the ball to outside of Kelsey, right? And Kareem Hunt busting out, you know, coming back to the Chiefs, right? Busting out 120 yards. That's not going to happen very often, you know? And it's not a knock against Kareem Hunt. It's just, I think his best football is behind him, you know? But, you know, the Chiefs are down their number ones at a lot of positions on the offensive skill side right now. And, you know, they kind of play in a division where they can get away with that. You know, they got the Raiders, they got the Chargers. I mean, your Broncos pulled out a good win.
I don't think the Chiefs defense. I don't think the Chiefs. This is going to sound like look, I'm wearing all blue right now. You know what I have on. This is going to sound biased, and that's okay. It should sound biased. I'm shocked at how well the defense is playing, especially down your starting middle linebacker. Yeah. And I'm going to repeat something I said last year after the devastating 70-point burger that Miami threw on Denver. They didn't fire anybody. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody got cut. There was no people made business decisions comment by the coaching staff. Right? It was everybody took the as you people love saying on here, in a literal sense, they took the L, as you do when you really lose in a game, and regrouped. And Vance Joseph is, to me, is starting to look like some sort of defensive mastermind, and the scouting department might be one of the best around, because there's always a person that makes the Broncos team that does very well that's undrafted.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and you can try to say, well, that's just because there's no 12 rounds. And I go fuck yourself. They're actually a pretty decent scouting department. And the Moss kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like the secondary of the Broncos outside of Surtain Jr. is a bunch of no names that people really weren't following. And the same thing with their pass rushers. They have undersized pass rushers.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Vance Joseph, before, his name got dragged through the mud during his
horrible
head coaching debacle.
Yes.
He was a phenomenal coordinator, right? And he's also one of the guys that doesn't stick to my system, right? He is not a system guy. He adapts the scheme for the players that he has on the field. That's always been Vance Joseph's thing, right? He's not a guy that tries to plug, 3-4 dudes into 4-3s. He's just like, nah, here's my team. This is what I got to do to make sure I allow the least, the minimum amount of points in a game, right? So I always love that. I hate people who get stuck on systems, but give them time. You know what I mean? Like let them get some guys coached up first before we take the proverbial jump off the bridge,
Yeah.
And we're going into year 2 with a lot of young players, where last year was their first crack at starting in the NFL. That's always a rough adjustment. You could be a guy that's a 3 or 4 year veteran, but if it's your first year playing every fucking snap, like
that's a great point, man.
It's different than you like being like the 6th defensive back on the 53-man roster, and you go in for garbage time, right? You're playing against the ones right from the jump.
And this defense is stingy. The Raiders touchdown they scored in garbage time it felt like a gimme. Like, let them have this touchdown, we'll get the ball back, and they're just going to sit on it.
Yeah.
The running game still worries me about Denver, because I think to beat the Chiefs, you need to have this is going to sound crazy. It's going to be like, that's to beat anybody. You have to have a strong running game that can control the clock, and you have to be able to make big plays and not overreact to big plays made by Kansas City.
That's a good point. Now, this is my, like, I had this running, like, Madden thing with my Uncle Doug.
Mm-hmm.
From the time I could pick up, like, a controller and play Madden, right? And he would just put beat down after beat down after beat down on me, right? He'd get up big, and I'd start just, like, huck it, chuck it football, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just get my ass mollywomped. Madden 97. I will never fucking forget this, right? He's like, okay, he's a huge Panthers fan. This is them heading into that Super Bowl year. So Kerry Collins is there, They got Musa Muhammad, Ray Caruth before he decided to, call a hit on his wife and his unborn child. Kevin Green's there. It's a very well constructed roster. There's a reason they went to this fucking NFC Championship game in their second year, right? I picked the Patriots. I have Drew Bledsoe. I have Ben Coates. I have some good receivers, but so what I did is Tyrone Wheatley was a free agent. So I just go and add him to the roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
My uncle's like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, well, in my franchise, that's what I did. And I had some success with it. Keep in mind, the Patriots are built for throwing the fucking football. I ran the ball 57 times with Tyrone Wheatley. After my uncle like drops a 67-yard pass on me, I'm like, bet, let's go. Dude, 57 times. I threw 10 passes. Ben Coates caught 6 of them.
All first downs.
Oh, dude, yeah. I won 17-10, right? I didn't freak out on the big play. Controlled the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And we played like whole quarters too.
You played 15-minute quarters?
Oh, dude, he did, man. Right? And when I got the first win, this is like I'm like 1 in 698 million. I've lost every every game against him to this point. He was like, you know what, dude? Fuck you, get out of my house. And I live 2 houses down from him. So I'm like, all right, I'll just fucking go back home. But you're absolutely right. If you can run the ball, control the clock, like Vanderbilt did against Bama.
Yeah.
You know, Bama had the ball for 20 minutes that game. Vanderbilt just sat on that fucker. It was phenomenal.
Taking a leap to college and these upsets and just close games all around. There was probably, if 5 teams lost, there was probably 10 games that came down to the wire.
Oh, before we go into college, here's my next 3 up for firing in the NFL.
Gotcha.
Taylor in Cincy.
Oof.
Stefanski, Cleveland.
Yep.
Pierce in Vegas. Pierce in Vegas, I only say because Mark Davis owns that team. And I really don't think he appreciated the players made some business decision comments when he's all about the Raiders are a family and we keep things in house and we don't do things out of house. And I think that may come back to bite him in the ass, and also horrible clock management and just overall scheming during game day. So those are I think those are the next 3 up on the chopping block.
I was afraid you were going to say that, and I don't disagree with that. I think I just didn't want to hear it out loud because I thought it in my head after the Broncos game. I was like, I don't like the Raiders because as a Bronco fan, I just can't. But I am a Bay Area native, and I've just grown up around it so much that there's a certain, I don't know the right word to say, weird appreciation I have for the team, especially it's fun to hate a team when they're doing well. If the Cowboys are 1-15, it's not fun to beat up on them. But when
yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's still
I feel a little different.
That America's team shit. Fuck you, dude.
I love it when they're winning and Dak is doing his thing and he's in the Campbell Soups commercials and CeeDee Lamb is dancing and you beat the hell out of them. It feels great. But when they're down and there's a 8th string quarterback playing, and
I still shit on them. I don't care.
But seeing the Raiders kind of come back after this weird lull of just, what do young people say, mid? They're the epitome of a mid team. They don't suck enough to get a top 5 pick, and they're definitely not picking at the bottom. When you're always in the middle of the draft, it really is hard to build because you miss there. It's like, oh God, we really had to make that count. Remember the year they had 2 first-round picks?
Dude, yes. And that was actually Gruden's first draft back.
Yeah.
He picked Cleveland Farrell at number 3, I believe, who was just an absolute bust.
Yeah.
And then he took...
That wasn't the Henry Ruggs year, was it?
No, I believe Ruggs was the year after.
They took another defensive player that's not in the league.
Yeah,
it was not on the team anymore.
It was a corner from Ohio State, Conley. And they were not ready for prime time. And dude, Farrell couldn't even get on with the UFL this past season. Right? Like, that's bad. You're a first round pick.
Does that speak though to, because there's something to be said, and I don't, we could stay in the NFL for a bit. There's something that can be said about the level of play in college that's so off. That's the first thing when these top quarterbacks come to the league and they get a little bit of success and they start talking about college, especially when they're in their first couple of years, like a Joe Burrow. I was watching a podcast clip where he was saying, he's like, dude, you could take weeks off when you play at LSU because you're only going to play about 5 to 6 big games a year.
Yeah.
Plus your bowl game and whatever playoff stuff's going on. In the NFL, it's every week. And it feels like if you're just watching the tape or looking at the games, some of these guys don't even need a scheme. It can just be talent alone. And that's what I see in a lot of bigger teams. And whenever they lose to a lower caliber team, like for Vanderbilt, for example, everyone is executing at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And then you have a guy, it reminds me of Johnny Manziel, the quarterback of Vanderbilt. I can't remember his name right now.
Pavia.
I think he might be a little bigger than Manziel. But
they listed him at 5'10", 205, like on the ticker. I think he looks a little more beefy than that. And
yeah,
Pavia, if you're listening, that's not a dig. You're a handsome man. Embrace your body.
He just looks a little like he can take. I'm seeing the quarterback play in college because of the spread, and it's an option style offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's now starting to look a lot like college football in the 80s and 90s when people were still playing wishbones and wing tees, where you could have a much smaller quarterback that was fast. The only difference now is you're playing it out of the shotgun.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to throw, but they're usually throwing to like wide open targets.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what Ken Niumatalolo is doing at San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a guy who coached at Navy for 15 years. Wishbone guy through and through. He's essentially running a very similar offense to Vanderbilt now, where it's almost a wishbone. I think they called it an inverted wishbone during the game. The color and play-by-play guy. But it gives Pavia, the quarterback, the ability to, when he's in shotgun, it gives him that little extra time to make his initial read. The ball snapped. He can read and react what the defense is doing and make the call. You know what I mean? Like it sounds complicated as shit, but I'm going to tell you right now, I played in a wing T offense in high school. You only run 6 plays out of the wing T. The formation may be a little different, but it's only 6 plays, man.
Yeah.
And if you can execute those 6 plays very well out of multiple formations, you will be very successful. It's because like the defenses are not, even with the spread and, RPO. When you look at RPOs, that's typically between a quarterback and a running back, right?
Yep.
When you run something like an inverted wishbone or the modified option offense that the service academies essentially run, right? You don't know where that ball is going. It's not just a quarterback and a running back. It could be the dive back. It could be the slot back. It could be an end around to the wide out.
Yeah.
It could easily be a fake to any of those 4, and the QB is going to fucking go over the top. So it's really hard to prep for, no matter how physical and honestly, Alabama's looked great this year, and I'm not going to knock Kellen DeBoer for that loss. Vanderbilt had a great plan. We keep the ball out of Jalen Milroe's hands, right? We make sure that Williams, that young kid that can't even fucking vote yet, but is, out there just dominating people.
And he still made great catches in that game.
Oh, he did. He absolutely did.
The body control of this young man at 17, and I don't want to say football IQ, but fearlessness to just go up and get balls.
Yeah.
It's on another level. The catch he made to win that game against Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make sense from a video game standpoint.
Yeah, him and Smith out of Ohio State. Those are the 2 best wide receivers in the country right now, and they're both freshmen. Like
True freshmen. This kid left high school early to go play big time college football at Alabama, and he's doing it when you need him to do it most. He didn't come up short in that loss to Vanderbilt.
No,
and I can't even really shit on Jalen Milroe in that loss.
No,
I will say this about Jalen Milroe though. Much like this, like I'm talking about this turn for college quarterbacks becoming a lot smaller, i.e., Bryce Young being a first-round draft pick. I think Kyle, what's his name in Arizona? Arizona's quarterback.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray is an anomaly because he's more like Doug Flutie. He's a scrambler.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to run RPOs. Kyler Murray is like the smartest scrambler I've ever seen. He knows he's not 200 pounds. He knows he's 5'8" on a good day. And he just wants to sit back and shotgun so he can see down the field and throw bombs, which he's really good at. He's a scrambler. Cam Newton made a great point about this on his 4th and 1 podcast. He's like, nobody was running RPOs before him. Even Michael Vick didn't really have designed runs.
No,
those are scrambles.
Very rarely Michael Vick had design runs.
Yeah, and it was out of the under center.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the game now, there's a reason why Lamar and Kaepernick were such beasts, because they're so large.
Yeah.
And they had lead blockers in these design runs. What we're seeing at the college level is swift, small guys hiding behind their blockers, busting out or going around, and they're just so fast you can't catch them. And Jalen Milroe is more made in the Lamar Jackson mold, where he's this giant young man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, when you look at a guy like Cap came out of college at, I believe, 6'3", like 215, probably bulked up to 230 by the time of his last year in San Francisco. Right?
He's almost 6'6", dude.
Is he that tall? Okay.
He's almost 6'6", yeah.
But he was always a pretty muscular dude, right?
Yes.
Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't call him muscular. I would say he's extremely fit. But, like, if I saw Lamar Jackson in a bar and I didn't know who he was, I'm like, I could beat him up. Right? Kaepernick, no fucking way. Right? Like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
And I think Milroe is more like Lamar in that, you know, he's bigger, you know, he's over 6 foot, still kind of on the slight side, which is okay for college, but whatever team that drafts him is going to have to, like, all right, man, here's your 38th steak for the day. You've got a second weightlifting program after practice, you know, like, they're going to have to bulk him up a bit.
You think he needs to get even bigger?
Yeah. Honestly, I think what's happening with Tua is terrifying front office staffs and strength and conditioning programs right now. Because Tua is not a big dude, right?
No.
And he has been, I mean, he's been brutally beaten his first 4 years in the league, which sucks, because I don't want to see anybody develop like head injuries to where it, affects their day-to-day life, right? Oh, appreciate that, Bad Lefty. That's like one of the nicest things people have said about me. But I think that is a big factor in how you draft and develop now, right? Can a smaller dude, because let's face it, we know that bad teams that pick in the top 5, if they didn't pull off ingenious trades a la Houston and Chicago in the last few years, your offensive line is going to be just trash. Can this kid take a beating that he's probably going to take his first few years, right? If I'm like trying to look into the tea leaves or shaking my magic 8 ball, and I take a guy like Milroe, it's like not fucking likely, right? That kid's not going to be able to take a beating. And I'm not saying that as a knock against him or anything. It's the physicality of the game. Even now, when people are like, well, now it's all pussified. Bullshit, dude. Why don't you go out there and get hit by a 6'4", 320-pound defensive lineman who runs like a 4.6 40? It's like getting hit by a goddamn semi-truck.
The NFL literally responded to the lawsuits. And if you're mad about that, then you're the type of person that likes watching that slap fighting bullshit.
Yeah.
You just want to see people get knocked out. You don't love football. You just love violence.
Yeah. Like those people watch.
And the senseless kind. Yeah.
Yeah. They watch the 2 dudes fighting in full plate armor in the ring. Shit, that's all over Russia. They love seeing that shit.
Have you seen the MMA in the car where they choke people out with the seatbelt?
Oh my God, no.
That's a real thing. I'm not trying to be funny. I wish I was lying.
I believe you. And somehow I feel like Dana White is still involved in it.
He probably, anything that looks like, oh, this should be illegal. Dana White's sitting there like the meme.
Yeah.
Dude rubbing his hands together.
Behind the tree.
Yeah, that's Dana White. Every time oh man. Yeah. I like this. One guy has a sword, one guy doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Dana White's a horrible
Dana, hear me out. One guy with a cinder block taped to his hand. The other guy with his hands tied behind his back. What do you think?
It's called fuck you.
Yeah. Dana White's like, you know what? Sold. Let's do this.
It's huge in Estonia.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Latvia, it's the national sport.
Dude, I watched a slap fighting thing, and Dana White says it goes, "Oh, this guy's so tough." Tough. He just got slapped in the face. That doesn't look like toughness to me. It looks like despair.
Yeah. Like how low of a point do you have to hit in your life where you're like, well, at least I can go slap box. You know,
I have to keep reminding people of that woman, because slap fighting it doesn't discriminate. The woman that gets slapped so hard, she does a rollover. What do you call it? Where you do like they slapped the shit out of her so hard she tried to get up and then she like flipped. And someone said she got slapped to the netherworld in the shadow realm and all this other shit, right? And I was laughing at it. And as I'm reading the comments, cracking up, right? Because I'm a piece of shit that watches this kind of stuff. The woman that got hit, and her profile, it's her. She goes, I'm glad that the lowest point of my life is something you guys find enjoyment in watching.
God damn.
That fucked me up. You don't do that because either, look, I got to be famous, man. I got to be famous. What are we going to do? If you tried making a mixtape and lighting your ball hair on fire on YouTube and all the other shit that people do to try to be famous in 2024, and you got to the point of getting slapped in the face that you can't defend yourself for money?
Yeah, lady, you got sent to the Netherverse on your own. Okay, like
that's right. That is below, in my opinion. Just don't get it in my eye.
Dude, if we have time, I have to tell a funny story before we go.
I don't know where that came from.
It's tales of Mac's former soldiers calling him after 2 a.m. with stories time. That's what it is. But yeah, like it's just, I think how they protect quarterbacks is going to be, I think this is why I really want the UFL to succeed, because we're going to see more offensive linemen get more playing time and more pro systems.
I like that.
And they'll develop and sign NFL contracts, right? Mm-hmm. Because the two most important position groups on the field now are along both lines and the quarterback, right? Like you have to have those three things to have a successful team. And the thing is, if you can't keep your star quarterback, and the Bengals have learned the hard way with Joe Burrow, when Burrow's on the field, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The hard part is keeping him upright because they haven't really drafted and developed enough offensive linemen. But like if I'm an NFL front office guy, every NFL kick or UFL kickoff, dude, I'm scouting. I'm seeing who I can poach. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, from the UFL to get on my team so I can keep my quarterback upright and he can do his job. You know, because there is such a big difference between the college game and the pro game.
Yes.
Offensive linemen aren't developing the way they used to, like back in the 80s and 90s, where it was plug him in, you got a left tackle for 12 to 15 years. Like we're not seeing Joe Thomas come down the pipe again. That's not going to happen. You know,
why do you think that is? You think just the game is so different with the spread?
I think it's a lot of it's scheming, because look, in the NFL, you can't just go into a pass block stance. You know, you can't do that. You know, and you have to be able to, you know, make initial contact. You got to be able to pull. You got to do all those things. In the spread system, you don't see pulling guards much anymore. Not even on design runs, right? I think you're seeing better blocking from wide receivers now coming out of college.
Yes.
Because wideouts know I have to block on design runs. I am that pulling guard, right? But you still have pulling guards in the NFL. You know, you still have to be able to sell a run from a pass setup, right? Like you have to be able to do those things. And in college, you don't. And asking a young kid who gets drafted in March to have all that down pat by September? No fucking way. This kid's played football a certain way for a large amount of years. So at this point, it's all muscle memory. So ask that kid to get lower and get prepped to run block when he's been in a pass block stance for 12 fucking years. Like
Yeah.
it takes time to unlearn that and learn new techniques. So like it is all about player development. I will harp on that for as long as we do the show. You and I could be 80 and it'll be Claw and like fucking Newry. We're the only 4 left alive are still interested in listening to us senile old fucks blather on, right? And I will say this in, the year 2060, whatever, right? Like I will, that's just how it is, it's all about player development. And if I, as a general manager or vice president of football operations, can kind of circumvent the development part by getting guys from the UFL, fuck, I'm going to do it. Dude, if I'm an NFL front office guy, I'm sending scouts to the Professional Football League in Europe to look for guys. I'm all over the planet looking for motherfuckers. Oh, what is that? You said there's a German dude that's 6'8", 320, and his name's Dieter? Fuck yeah. Bring him in. Let's go. Right? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
All right? Like, find players that you can develop into what you need. Don't just fucking look at the college ranks and be like, well, he played in a wishbone system at one of the service academies. We put a little meat on him. You and I both know wishbone, the guard pulls the entire game. That's his fucking reason for being. He's a lead blocker. Right? Okay, yeah, but you're going to try and take a dude who has to meet height and weight requirements while he's in the military. He played offensive guard at 260 because he got a waiver. And now you're going to try, or not 260, it's going to be 240, which one of the guards at Navy was last year.
Jesus.
Okay. And that was his max allowable weight for the job that he was going to do in the Navy. So you're going to pack another 40 pounds on him and expect him to be able to move the same way? No, that's not how this shit works. Like, let's be smart. This is $1 billion, billions and tens of billions of dollars industry, right? Why aren't we doing things different to try and set up the franchises for success? But what do we see every hiring cycle with fucking head coaches and general managers? It's like the same 15 dudes. They don't change the fucking way they do things. And it's not working, So, like, it's just fucking try something different, man. Like, that's what I love about a lot of NBA coaches now in front offices. They have people everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, every fucking where. Like the dudes on the South Sudan team, 4 of them signed NBA contracts after the Olympics.
Do you think it's because basketball, and I do have to admit this, maybe it's because I live in a border town, football is here. There's football in the high schools here, which I find odd.
Dude, Australia.
But basketball has been here for a long time.
Yeah, but Australia, the bastion of Aussie rules football and rugby union, and rugby league, right? They have both forms of rugby and their own type of football. They have a professional gridiron football league now. The sport is spreading. After years and years and years of European people being like, there's only one football, they're like, whoa, this gridiron football shit's kind of rad. Let's go. So like get out there and check it out, man. I mean, what's the worst that happens? Well, sorry, kid, you didn't make it. He's like, all right, cool. I'm going to go back to Berlin, fucking go play on that team again. And, I appreciate the opportunity, like.
I wish they would schedule the buys though better for the overseas game. If you're going to keep doing the overseas thing, schedule it where they get 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
So they can have more time to just adjust to the time zone difference.
That would make sense.
The weather difference.
The thing is, here's the kick right now. We have games in Germany and England as of now. The NFL's planning and trying to line up games in Spain and Barcelona, in Italy and Rome, and I believe they want to do one in Austria. Now, I don't know how viable that plan is going to be without, like you said, stacking the buys where it is a benefit to the teams that are going over. I mean, at this point, if I'm Goodell, I'm looking at Shad Khan and being like, you know what, dude, just move your fucking team to London. You play like 3 or 4 games every year anyway. Just fucking go. Like
I wouldn't look a team in Toronto. I wouldn't mind seeing a team in Vancouver.
That'll never happen because of the Bills.
They should just move to Toronto. Sorry, Buffalo.
Well, see, that was the thing. The plan about 8 years ago was for Buffalo to play 4 home games in Toronto.
Yeah.
And Tony Pegula was down for that. He's the owner of the Buffalo Bills because he didn't like the stadium, Ralph Wilson or whatever the corporate sponsor is now, but it'll always be Ralph Wilson Stadium. But like the CFL got involved and was like, there's no fucking way. And I don't know if you know this, the CFL is a protected institution according to the Canadian Parliament. So you can't do anything that interferes with their business. So because the CFL season's kind of long, even though it starts in summer, it would have interfered. They would have had to like kind of readjust the CFL schedule to allow the Bills to play like 1 o'clock kickoffs. Yeah. And they kind of nixed it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, Toronto would be a great town to have an NFL team in, but because of the way the TV shit is split, Toronto is technically like a TV rights area for Buffalo. So
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
and also that's the nice part of Niagara Falls for those that don't know. That episode of The Office was not in Buffalo, by the way. That was on the Toronto side. I wouldn't mind seeing a team in England. Yay, U.S. imperialism.
Yeah, we're not planting flags anymore. We're planting NFL franchise.
That's the flag is the NFL team.
Yeah,
I mean, look, if you're going to play these games there and you're not trying to stack the buys, then you're going to give these people that are paying very good money to see this stuff an extremely substandard product.
Yeah. I mean, and as well as I do, jet lag's a bitch.
Yeah.
It's a bitch. Especially with athletes who are in a very regimented, this ain't the 70s and 80s anymore, man. Right? Kenny Stabler's not on the fucking sideline like, bro, I was railing a hooker until like fucking 2 hours ago, like
the game was getting in the way of their fun.
Yeah.
This isn't that league anymore. These dudes are way too health conscious, brand conscious.
Yep.
To be that guy that is definitely a relic of an era past. But before we flip to college real quick, I do want to ask you, Davante Adams, where is he going?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up in New Orleans, only because like he and Carr just have a rapport that you can't replicate. And I think that the Saints are willing to pony up the draft capital. And from what I've seen, the Raiders are only asking for a 2nd round pick. I would probably ask for like maybe a 2nd and like a 4th, make it worth your while type thing. Because once you remove Davante Adams from the Raiders, what do they have on offense? They got like me and you and Newry and Claw. Virtuoso, I think, is the center.
Hunter Renfrow is yet to get a job. He's still a free agent.
I know. Well,
why is that?
I don't know, man. You got to think he had a great slot receiver season, and then other than that, it was kind of middling. I mean, if I needed a wideout, like if I'm the Pats, why not take a shot? Get a slot receiver with good hands for a rookie quarterback. But then again, we're going to start a UNC quarterback this weekend, so I just expect to not win a game the rest of the year.
Look, I had a whole bit I was going to do about that with you, and I read it again and I was like, nah, there's some things that aren't right. It's just not right, man.
I mean, dude, he can't be any worse than Jacoby Brissett right now. I mean, and
I don't know.
I just feel bad because the Pats knew that the offensive line was going to be just a dumpster fire. They knew it going into the season. And they drafted Drake May, who is not what I would call a nimble man. And had Jacoby Brissett start over him, who is not nimble anymore at all. So it's like, dude, it's not like you're putting Bledsoe back there, which thank God Bledsoe would get killed behind this line.
Could Cam Newton play for the Patriots if he had a whole off season?
Oh, he's been out of the league for a couple years. His arm is held together with like duct tape and rubber bands. I mean, and honestly, why would you want to go play there? I mean, the Pats are not good, not by any stretch of the imagination right now. If I was coming back, Jason, and I was Cam, I'd be team shopping. Like, it'd be like, okay, let's.
Can Cam go back to Seattle if they needed him?
That would probably be a good fit for him. Like if Geno went down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's just how much is Cam going to give you in the air? Because that's kind of where Geno does his damage. And I mean, Geno has been a revelation. Now
another person we don't mention enough on this show as a
don't.
reclamation project is someone that was arrogant enough to think he was going to be a first-round draft pick. Was not a first-round draft pick, so he just sat in New York, goes in the second round, totally just bombs out in the NFL, gets passed around, and gets this amazing second life in Seattle. I think Pete Carroll's last year, right?
Yeah. And this is the benefit of him actually having someone to throw to. I mean, he had Lockett and DK Metcalf, and now he's got Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? Three. Metcalf is in the upper tier of wideouts. I'm not going to say he's one of the best ones, but he's up there, right? Seattle's biggest thing is it's like they start getting away from the run, which I don't understand because you have Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet there. So why not like kind of take the onus off Geno, where he's not throwing the ball 30 to 40 times a game and burn some clock, pick up some good yardage and make defenses second guess because I both know we're both adults. Very rarely do players go the entire season now without getting injured, right?
Yeah.
Where they're at the top of their game the entire time. So why not make the defense kind of second guess the pass? So like if DK Metcalf or Jackson Smith and Jigba or, whoever the other people, I'm not very well versed with Seattle football because it's fucking Seattle. Sorry.
Tyler Lockett's still there, isn't he?
I believe so. Yes. But like when they're not at the top of their game, they don't have to fight a double team. They can just be single coverage, right? So it just makes more sense schematically to me, for me to, you got to run the ball at least 20, 25 times a game.
I thought Seattle had a really good ground game, and I was shocked. And I can't tell if, and again, here's another reclamation project that we have not mentioned on this show yet. I think maybe because we don't want to curse this young man, Daniel Jones. I hate to admit it, man.
No,
that kid finally has some legit. I mean, he had one of the best running backs in the league for years.
I know.
Now he has Malik Neighbors is otherworldly.
He's legit. He's another phenomenal LSU receiver, right?
Yes.
But I don't talk about Daniel Jones because I don't like having this conversation. I don't think he's reclaimed. He's not.
Okay.
He shouldn't have been a first-round pick. He could have been a dude you drafted later rounds, stashed on the bench, and develop. And maybe he becomes like a journeyman backup who has a long career doing that. But like, he's had some good games, no doubt. Having a guy like Neighbors to throw to, phenomenal, right? That's great. But like, he's still Daniel Jones. See, this is what happens to Giants fans, Jason. This is why you don't want him to be good, because they get their hopes up and then he comes crashing back down to earth.
The Giants are like the Bears in the sense that they're this team that perennially has been good, but never frightening. The Giants had that defense in the 80s with Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks. Harry Carson. And, there's just a laundry list of guys that played on that very frightening New York Giants defense that won, that beat the shit out of my Broncos like 39-20. But and then again, like kind of in the 90s where a few of those guys were there, and I think was that the Jeff Hostetler year that they beat the Bills in the kick. Phil Simms was never a quarterback that you were really afraid of.
No.
And McConkey was never like, oh no, McConkey for 6 again. But he did score his fair share of touchdowns. Mark Bavaro, good tight end.
Bavaro was the focal point for the passing game. And he may have been one of the slowest tight ends to ever play the game. He still averaged over 11 yards a catch. I'm like, how?
Get open and get leverage.
Bro, yeah. And he just, you couldn't even say he ran. He trundled. That was
the greatest Monday night game, Niners against the Giants, when they're both at their peak. And that pass to Bavaro over the middle where there's like 6 Niners just hanging on him.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to go down.
No, like he had like legs for tree, is tree trunks for legs, and the dude just, and you got to think 80s. This was the king of like the shoulder. This was the king time for the shoulder shot that just devastated people, right? Yeah, I remember seeing hits from San Francisco defensive backs that tried to do that to him, and they just like bounced off him like a bullet off of like a superhero,
It was I will never forget that game. I'm sure you can find that highlight. I believe it was at 89 or 90, maybe even 91 that game was. And then the Giants have in the 2000s, they have a little bit of a run. But I compare them to the Bears in the sense of they're these teams that can always win their division, always picking in the middle or the bottom half of a draft because they're just good enough. But I've never thought of the New York Giants or the Chicago Bears as a dynasty team, even though I believe the Giants have back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, but like out of the two teams, the one that could have had the dynasty was the Bears in the mid-'80s.
No, the Giants don't have back-to-back Super Bowls, do they?
They won in what? Like
they won in 87 and 90? They won in 2007.
Yeah,
they beat the Patriots twice.
I know 07, 09.
So okay, so they never won back to back. So there we go. They never won back.
86 and 21, 90 and 25, 2007 and 52, 2011 and 56 or 46, excuse me, 42 and 46.
Yeah, so. they and they've never had a great quarterback play. I mean, if you're going to pull out Y.A. Tittle, okay, super historian guy. But
yeah, that's like when I hate when people bust out like QBs that their grandpas watched.
It's maybe not even their grandpas.
Yeah, it's like your dad didn't even get to watch Y.A.
Yeah,
Tittle.
Dude,
calm down there, nerd.
No one knows. You don't remember Y.A. Tittle unless your dad vaguely remembers him playing for the Niners at Kezar Stadium at the end of his career, where he had a receding hairline and he was receiving Social Security.
Yeah, and his knees. You heard that above the crowd noise.
That was a snap count. The snap count was the crack of his knees.
The center's just like, yeah, don't worry, he's not going to say hut. And the rookie guard's like, what's he going to do? He's like, you'll know.
That means go, rookie.
Move your ass, bitch.
Then it's just Benny Hill.
Yep. They get to the sideline and YA's like, hey, water boy, I need my beer. He's just like, God.
Yeah, his beer. He needs his sideline beer.
Why am I doing this still? Oh, that's right. I've been divorced 5 times. They all get alimony. Ugh.
Virtuoso said 18-1. Yeah, look, the Giants beat an amazing Patriots team that looks like it was constructed in a 12-year-old's Madden mind.
Yeah, and let's face it, it was off the luckiest catch of all time. Okay, like I give props to Tyree for hanging on to that ball, coming down with it. That the one that pissed me off more was the 2011 Super Bowl, because I had just gotten home. I went to the titty bar to watch the game, and they did this raffle, Jason, where whoever won the raffle got a free tab all night. And when they saw my reaction to the loss, my friend Christina was bartending, and she rigged it so that I won. And it was the biggest mistake they've ever made, because I stayed all night. And my tab was like $250, and I didn't get a drink for anybody. My boys were like, "You're going to get us free drinks too." And I was like, "Fuck you, no."
That's how I felt when the Broncos lost to the Seahawks. That Broncos lost to the Seahawks, I was on tour, and it was it was a torrential downpour in Louisiana.
Oh, shocker! It was raining in Louisiana.
It was raining in who would have thunk it was raining in northern Louisiana?
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't get into that story. It's just depressing. But yeah. I remember the losses a lot better than I remember.
Yeah. Jason, because he does not drink, went out and ate his body weight in raisin salad and just felt awful. He was feeding his feelings that day.
Actually, that was true story though. That was when I got this guitar, I believe. Someone made this. A gentleman made this in Monroe, Louisiana, and gave it to me. And
you said it the way it should be pronounced, but it's Monroe.
In Monroe, yeah.
You ever been to Monroe, Louisiana? What? Are you speaking English? Uh-huh. Oh God, I'm not gonna like it here.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not gonna get in that story because you don't have a lot of time, and I do want to get into the fun half, but I do want to switch to college real quick before we get into this fun half story. And again, Mac, it's just, I've never heard of what I'm going to tell you.
I'm looking forward to this.
Can I do it? Should we do it now?
Just do it.
We're
now.
an hour in. We're an hour in.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody, we have a guest lined up for next week. We're going to get really into the weeds on college. So it's going to be rad as fuck.
And I got my weeks confused. So that's why it says NIL. So that's a mistake on my part.
In Jason's defense, everybody, while I was lining up the interview, we were also getting very drunk. So when I texted
it was like
him,
super late. So when Mac texts me super late, I'm like, "You're at a bar," and I happen to be out. Oh, can I tell you something funny that happened as you were texting me? I went out with a lady friend, her kids, and my friend Shaka Kani. And we decided to go to TJ because there's this great pizza place in TJ. And so we're going, I drove to TJ. I never drive to TJ. I always take the bus. So we drove to TJ and we're walking, and homegirl's son is just annoyed. He wants to hurry up and go to the place. And I want to show him these cool things. I'm like, look, kid, there's some cool shit here because he's 8. I have 8-year-old brain myself. I have a 6-year-old up north, and I get equally as excited for goofy shit like you. So before we go eat, I want to show you the goofy shit first, right? And then there's all these bars in Tijuana, as you can imagine, and there's bands inside these bars. And one of the bands is playing that song, The Reason, by Hoobastank.
Hoobastank, yeah.
And so I'm belting that out in this kid's ear as we're crossing the street.
That's some dad energy right there.
Oh, yeah. just all in this kid. He's just not wanting to hear anything I have to say. Right.
You're not my real dad.
Yeah, you're not like my real dad would never sing this bullshit. My real dad likes Slayer. Mom, where'd you find this guy? At a Creed concert?
Yeah, he's just looking at mom like.
He's looking at his mom like, I hope he's hung like a quarter horse.
His dick better be as long as my arm.
All the black guys you wanted to bang, Mom, and you wanted to get the one that knows the words to Hoobastank.
What are the fucking odds, huh?
Yeah, look at him like.
First time she got in the car with Jason, he puts on like some rock. She's like, "What the fuck, dude?"
So like, I'm singing to this poor kid's ear as we're crossing the street, and I guess we took too long to cross the street because there's the numbers counting down.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we're gonna cross the street. So we're crossing the street, and this guy had to wait an extra 3 seconds. And you know what he yelled at me, Mac? Go back to your own country. So I'm with my friend Connie, who and Connie go like, do you think he means Africa or America?
The only way that story could have been better is if it was like another like expat American. You know, like
I was so proud and offended at the same time. Because on one hand, I'm like, this is my country. And on the other hand, I was like, oh, did you mean Africa? I was like, oh.
Hey man, quick, roll the window down. Yeah, quick question. Do you want me to go back to the States or Africa? Because I've only been to one of those places, you know, so
just let me know where do you want me to go? Because I want to know how to take this.
Yeah, I got to plan.
Oh, the States? Oh, cool. Yeah, I live here. Fuck you. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah, thanks. Good man.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to go back to Africa? There's 54 independent nations over there. Like, can you point me in the direction which one you want me to go to? No? Okay. Can you name one country in Africa? Oh, you can't? Oh, that's fair. Okay. I'm just checking.
Like, seriously, dude, that fucked me for the whole rest of the night. I was like, man.
The only time I've ever gotten that, Jason, was when I was in Germany. and I was in Berlin, of all places, which, you know, it's a tour. It's like one of the tourist traps in Germany, right? And I figured I'd be good, even with like a dude acting like a drunken tourist. Oh, no. German people are just like, you need to go back to the States, yeah? You don't need to be here. Your friend, he's not good. Well, I know. Sorry. You come here and you with your filthy language and you're not appreciating our food. Yeah. Go home, Yank. You know, it's just like I can't. My flight doesn't leave for another 4 days. Can I just like hang out? No. Okay.
I had never been told. Consider the only time I was ever asked to leave was in my own country.
Yeah.
But living here like 3 years now, and someone just they yelled it at me, and I was like, oh. But now that we got that out of the way, I want to tell you the real story. Okay, Mac, I want to warn anyone that's listening right now. If you are easily offended, turn off. If you don't like to hear frightening things, because this is the most craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. Craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. And I feel like
I'm going to be shocked at the origin of this video, aren't I?
I'm going to read you the words.
Oh.
Because there is no if I played the video, I would have no channel tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That
if there is any video to find of this,
ooh.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, what I need you to do is put on your storyteller hat and give me a background before you start reading me the words.
I watch a channel that is, I'll call it a far right camouflage channel. And I call it camouflage because they don't speak in right wing rhetoric.
Okay.
Rhetoric. They don't speak in the rhetoric of the right wing. They don't
Yeah.
they don't yell about immigrants. They don't yell about coloreds and crime rates. They just quote unquote report crime.
Oh, so they're one of those types that allude to things without saying it overtly?
Not even. They just
Oh.
report crime. If I report crime, it doesn't sound very good because I can just harp on things like this, or let's say they're the channel that I found that story and I never showed this to you because it's still, that's all. I thought that was the craziest thing I ever saw before in my life, where a woman came home and her son, who was an adult, lived in her house. He lived like in the basement, and a woman and her boyfriend went out to a movie, and she called for her son. He didn't answer, so she was like checking to see if he was still there. They go downstairs. She tells her boyfriend, "Hey, go downstairs and check on Jimmy Bob." And he goes downstairs, and he's like, he's here, but his head is in a bucket. And she goes, "I'm gonna call the police because that's what you do when that happens." And so she calls the police, and she's in shock because her boyfriend just told her, his head's in a bucket. Here's the bucket. He brought the bucket up because that's what boyfriends that are pieces of shit do. You can tell if the boyfriend's a piece of shit by what he does.
Yeah.
And if he goes, "Oh, here's your son's head," like here it is. I've been telling you, Margaret, he needs a good so the woman calls the police and they play the phone call. And she's like, I came home and my son's head is in a bucket and there's blood everywhere. And the 911 operator goes, your son's head's in a bucket? In all fairness to the 911 operator, and I'm giving a lot of grace here, you hear a lot of shitty calls, a lot of fake shit, a lot of dumb shit, a lot of people that are spun out of their mind. So if anyone called and said, "Hey, my son's head's in a bucket," you're probably waiting for the punchline.
Yeah, and on top of that, even if you go into it with a serious like line of thought, I can't imagine there's many decapitations where the head ends up in a bucket calls that you get.
And at the bottom of the stairs. So the mom goes, yes, my son's head's in a bucket. And they goes, "So you're telling me your son's head is in a bucket?" And the mom goes, "That's what I said, isn't it?" So they send a police officer over there, and the police officer, and he's got his body camera on, and he's like, "Where's this head? Oh my God.
There's an actual head in the bucket.
Yeah, you hear the cop go, you got to call. You got to call. And everybody's face is like turning white. They find out very quickly who did it. It was the son's girlfriend. They were into rough sex, and they were also into methamphetamine.
Oh, God.
They got spun out of their minds, and the son had got real choke collars that you have for a dog. And he was like, "Hey, I got these choke collars. Let's do it. And you pull on one, and then I'll pull on one, and then we'll really do some crazy shit." And she was like, "All right, I'm going to go first." He's like, "Yeah." So she chokes the life out of him, and she enjoyed it. And then she cut his head off. And then she cut all of him off. She just started cutting pieces of him up. She left his penis and the head in the bucket because she forgot it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I thought that was the craziest thing I had ever heard in my life. We did a whole champagne room about it where we did, they brought the psychologist on to talk about it. Like it's a crazy story. And I watched it like that to see how it's pitched by these people. This is why I call them far right, because they take stories like that. And there's a lot more crazy shit that happens than people think.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've been all over the place and I've seen a lot of weird, like just
right,
off the wall shit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, granted,
yeah, go ahead.
I haven't found a head and a dick in a bucket, but I threw a guy out of a bar when I was bouncing once, and he landed like on his ass,
Mm-hmm.
and he immediately goes into shock. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And his boyfriend goes, he had a butt plug that had a light on it. I think he got electrocuted. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah. Not head and bucket, but I didn't think a butt plug could do that to somebody, but it had batteries, so I guess it's possible.
And why you just walk around with that, I don't know.
Yeah,
there's
dude.
just things that happen that I don't know. But this story, I saw the thumbnail of it and I was like, I'm reading that wrong. So I'm going to read you the news story. I'm not going to play the video because the video, I'm going to read you the news story.
Okay.
Adam Britton, a zoologist based in Darwin, Australia, pleaded guilty to 56 charges of bestiality and animal cruelty at the Supreme Court of the Northern Territory in September last year. He also pleaded guilty to 4 counts of accessing and transmitting child abuse material. Britton, 52, whose sentencing suffered a series of delays, was on Thursday also banned for life from purchasing animals and having them on his property, Australia media reports. Matt? Hold on. His offending involved the torture and exploitation of 42 dogs and the deaths of 39 in a shipping container on his property, which he used to film many of his crimes. So, Macadocious.
What?
This man, zoologist.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The zoologist.
Who wasn't just a zoologist. He wasn't just your fucking run-of-the-mill zoologist. This guy was on BBC. He was on all the big networks when you came to like kind of like a crocodile hunter kind of guy.
Oh.
He found that he liked raping, and he said this himself, dogs and horses. He started with horses first. I believe he copulated a horse. And he found that he liked raping dogs, and he would videotape himself raping dogs. And I was like, this can't be real. Who does that? This is where it gets really disgusting.
Oh,
because
God.
He was a public figure and well-known zoologist, animal expert. He was like, hey, if you have a dog that you need to get rid of.
Oh, no.
You having problems training it? Don't give it. You know what? I'll take it in. Oh, yeah.
How much time is this dude doing?
I don't know. I don't know. Because I think they're still in the sentencing phase or something. Oh, nope. He will not be eligible for parole for 6 years, according to ABC. Chief Justice Michael Grant described Britton's grotesque and unspeakable crimes against animals as he sentenced him. The judge excused court officers during his sentencing remarks as he warned the gallery that the details of the offenses could cause a nervous shock or some other adverse psychological reactions. I want to say, I live in a world where there's probably 10 that I've seen, at least, documentaries on Jonestown, which is pretty grotesque. And you can actually hear, the audio is out there for you to hear, by the way, if people don't know that. You can hear the audio of people dying in Jonestown. I've seen multiple documentary series on the Night Stalker, who did some unspeakable things to children and the elderly. I've seen uh, humanizing documentaries on people like Ted Bundy. Horrible killers.
Yeah, and you know what? I never understood shit like that. Like I was in a job long enough, right? Well, Joe Black, I have another story, but it's more lighthearted than this. But you know, I was in a job where I saw like the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
You know, and I started doing that as a kid. I was 17. You know, and there's two ways that you can go when you put children in a uniform to go fight in war. They become inured to it, to where violence becomes like their thing. That's how they deal with everything. Or you go the way I did, which was I don't want to see anybody go through it. I don't want to see, and I'm not even, I don't want people to get twisted. I'm not talking about veterans. I'm just saying I don't want anybody to have to deal with the effects of war. What I kind of bemoan from a veteran standpoint is not being able to cope with what happened or turn off that switch, you know? And I'm glad I finally, you know, put my big girl panties on and decided to go to therapy, because that was the best thing in the fucking world that could happen to me. Right. But like, when you see bad shit like that, you're just like, I can't hear of anything that equates to it. And then you told me this, you read this article.
I'm in shock, Mac. I'm in shock at how insane this is. Because when I saw, I'm again, this channel actually does some pretty good stuff on Buffy. And I just watch right-wing bullshit because I watch right-wing bullshit.
I think it's a way for you to like beat yourself up, like you're punishing yourself for something that subconsciously you don't know what it is. Like I think like Jason's punishing himself for not being grateful for getting like the second-rate Voltron that his dad worked a whole week for just for Christmas.
I like that Voltron. But, yeah, that's the only thing that man's remembering with his horrible mental faculties.
Well, I just want you to know I'm on your dad's side on this one.
Okay. Oh God. There's two things my family loves shitting on me for. That, and then my dad got my cousin and I, because he married his mom's aunt, so we were technically cousins. We grew up together.
Yeah,
we're actually very close, but we're almost a year apart to the day. So I think it was either for Christmas or our birthdays. My dad, something wonderful happened to him. We both got Optimus Prime.
Oh, that's a fucking win, man.
But you know, when you're 6 and 7, this shit's like Highlander. There can be only one.
Yep.
I broke his Optimus Prime.
You dick.
My cousin, very successful man at this point in his life, beautiful daughters. And every time we see each other, he'll make sure to tell his kids, anyone who's around, that I broke his Optimus Prime when we were 6.
Hey, make sure you don't have the same stuff Uncle Jason has, because he will take it from you. And he will break it. Jason's just over there with like all 34 of his children, just like, come on, man. Like Phoenix comes up like, Dad, really? What the fuck? We have the same hat. Are you gonna burn my hat?
I hope my cousin's watching so he can chime in and make fun of me. And the funny thing is, Mac, he's always been a much larger person because his dad played pro basketball, and he's a very large adult man. His hand is bigger than my face.
Dude, I had a buddy I was in the Army with that went, like, when he got out, he only did 4 years. He went and played D2 college ball, but he was always like kind of tall and lanky. And when I bumped into him, like I watched a couple games that he played because he was playing at a smaller school here in North Carolina. And like the dude just lived in the weight room. So now he's not just tall, you know, he's 39 with like an 8-pack. And I'm just like, I hate you, bro. I hate you so much. And he's sitting there just all 6'8", tall, black and handsome with an 8-pack, and I'm like, you have it all, man.
His dick trailing behind him,
No
leaving
shit.
fucking trails in the sand. And
He's
shit.
got it like tossed over his shoulder, you know. Sits down at the table and just lays it down.
His dick kerchief. He fucking walks up.
His dick and he both have ties on, you know, nice Windsor knot. I'm like, I fucking hate you, dude. But yeah, here's the story I promised you guys. So I had this really weird soldier named Teddy, and he was a weird dude, right? And I loved him for it. But it was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. You know, I'm going to bed at a decent hour. I'm getting up early, getting in good shape again. Like, I'll never have an 8-pack, but maybe I can get like the bottom 2, you know, and I'll be happy with that. But he calls me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and like we're going into Friday, and ew.
Keep telling your story.
Oh God, that's so gross. That's so gross. But like, he calls me at like 3, and on Fridays, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I get to work, I clock in, I go to my back office, and I like watch wrestling or whatever. Like, I just fuck around because, like, I kid you not, nobody comes in to buy a car until after 5. I get off at 5, so I'm like, Friday's here, baby. Ain't nobody here. Right? That's right, Joe. That's right. So he calls me at like 3, so I'm not really butthurt, you know, that he called me so late, because like I'm just gonna go to work and fuck around anyway. And he's like, yo, Mac. And I'm like, Teddy, this is the first time I heard from you in like 5 years. What do you need, dude? He's like, hey man, how far away are you from Maryland? And I was
very.
I was like, dude, that's like a 6-hour drive. I was like, where in Maryland? He's like, oh man, I'm in Baltimore. I'm like, all right. I was like, that's cool. So 6.5, because every highway around Baltimore is under construction. And he's like, hey man, when can you get here? And I was like, wait, what? I was like, no, dude. I was like, I'm not driving to Maryland. I have to go to work. And he's like, you have a job? And I was like, yeah, Teddy, I have a job. You know, I pay child support and I have bills. I was like, I just got dental insurance. It's kind of rad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, but man, I need you to come up here. And I'm like, well, I can't, man. I got to like save money up for that. You know, I was like, I have other travel plans that I'm saving money for and planning and getting shit together for. And he's like, dude, I have 3 hookers in my room right now. And like, he switches to FaceTime and shows me these 3 chicks that are baked out of their mind, Jason. Like, the lights are off and I can see how bloodshot the whites of their eyes are. Just fucking baked. And I'm like, Teddy, you can't have sex with any of them right now. And he's like, well, why not, dude? He's like, I called you because I figured you'd come up here and we can like tag team them. We can Eiffel Tower one, and the other 2 can like lick our balls. And I was like, Teddy, these girls are almost comatose. And I was like, 1, you need to check their IDs. Oh. And he's like, why would I do that? I'm like, check their fucking IDs. 2 of them were 19. 1 of them was 16. I was like, are they in your house? And he's like, no. I was like, you need to run away right now. Get the fuck out of there. I was like, have you done anything with any of them? And he was like, no, man, they're hookers. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I was like, that's not the point. The point is, one of them is horribly underage. You're in your mid-30s now, dude. You need to get out of there. And he's just like, you could see like the realization set on him, Jason. Because keep in mind, we're still on FaceTime.
He's just like FaceTime. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's like 116. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, I gotta go. And he just hangs up and calls me an hour later. He's like, hey man, are you awake? And I'm like, dude, you woke me up already. And so I just decided to get up and go to the gym. He's like, you lift weights? And I'm like, I was like, did you make it home? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I was going to drive. but I was drunk and I'm high. I was like, that would be bad. And he goes, so I ran. And I was like, how far away did you live from wherever you were at? And he's like, it was like 6 miles, dude.
Jesus Christ, that
I
dude was spun out of his fucking mind.
I was like, you ran 6 miles in like an hour? I was like, you didn't even do that in the fucking army. And he's
That
like,
dude was gone.
he was on coke.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yes, he was.
And I was like, Teddy, you're gonna have a really, really bad like come down from all this.
Ooh.
So I would just go into your room, like draw the shades, you know, like put the blinds down.
Smoke all the weed.
Yes. Roll a blunt, smoke it down to the nub, and then go to bed and don't wake up until you're ready to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, dude, 26 hours later, he called me.
In church, hopefully.
Oh, no. He probably should go to every church on his block.
Every church on the, yes, everyone.
Start at the AME one, work your way to the Baptist, end up in the Catholic Church, take confession.
End up
go
in a
home.
fucking synagogue. Just get
Yeah.
the fuck to everyone at the Muslim temple, mosque. You need everybody's Jesus at this point.
Yes, you need it all, bro. But like when he woke up, he was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I only vaguely remember like our conversation. I was like, all that matters is that you ran. He's like, yeah. And now my legs hurt so bad. You know, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
It's called a coke burn.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
bro.
coke burn from your.
So in our group chat, I was like, I swear to God, guys, I love all of you. But if you ever fucking call me up at 3 a.m. on a coke bender with 3 girls in your fucking, or you're someplace with 3 girls and one of them's underage, I was like, just miss me. Call the next guy on the list. I was like, just leave me.
Well, you're making the world a better place by answering the phone. Because
well, dude, it's just when we got home from the last one, dude, you know, we lost 2 guys this summer, you know, for about 4 years. So, you know, you want, you know, just you get late night calls, you always think it's something bad, but I'm glad it was just him, you know, coked out of his mind. You know, honestly, for the amount of coke that he told me he did, he probably had a boner for a week. I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Like, I was like, Teddy, you're not that big of a guy. Why are you doing that much blow? He's like, it was free. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Is that what they call it now when you rob a dealer?
I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, see, Isaac says you were technically a good friend.
Yes.
That's a good friend. When you talk first, look, to talk sense into someone that's with inebriated people in general, and they're about to do something sexual with them, that's an adult move.
Yeah, I mean,
move.
And let's face it, I think everybody here, regardless of gender or social standing, if you're a good person and the person you're with is just fucked up out of their mind, and I've done this my entire life, I'm like, dude, if you're so sloppy drunk, I have no wish to have sex with you at all.
To me, it's a turn off.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was I'm gonna have to do all the work, and I don't want to do that. And after I got older, it became a matter of like consent and just like, you know, like I'm an average white dude. I want you to at least remember something about me.
Yeah.
You know, like something I did right.
Yeah.
You know, and not be like fucking smashed out of their gourd. And they're just like,
and be like, who are you? How to get,
and
who wants to have that conversation with somebody?
Like that happened to me once. And I don't think I've emotionally recovered from it since. You know, like it was like, you know, I wanted to go commit ritual suicide. You know, I was looking for the long samurai sword so my buddy can swing down and take my head off, and the small one so I can just do my self-inflicted wound. But you can't get real ones in the United States that I could find on my budget. So I couldn't do it, you know, but like now being in my early 40s and in this day and age, there are so many women out there that are like young women that are coming up and hitting on me. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. No way. I was like, you know, I was downtown and there's like this great little like microbrew. So you can I can order food and sit outside and just, you know, in Fayetteville downtown's not too bad anymore. Like there's some shit there to do. And these young girls walked past and like said something to me. And I was like, I am old enough to be your father. Literally, this is not a joke. And she's like, but you know, I'm almost out of school. And I said, nope, just keep walking. just keep walking.
Oh.
Go, go, go.
Oh.
Right. And I'm like, nope. One, there's not a lot I have in common with young people, you know, and the way my own children beat up on me, I don't want that to happen to me with a potential partner, because like my kids will be ripping on me. They're laughing. They get the joke. I don't know what they fucking said. I don't want to like go out with a younger person where she's there with her friends and they're ripping on me. And I don't know what any
You're
of it
smiling
means.
like a foreigner.
Yeah, you know, like I don't speak the language.
You're just sitting there like me at every conversation.
Yeah, I feel like
Yes.
the exchange student in high school that's just like kind of happy
Yes.
to be there and doesn't know everybody's making fun of him, you know? So
Mhm.
like I'm like, no, you know, like I will be out at a bar where I know that they're 21 and I will still be like, let me see your fucking license. You know? And
Yeah.
oh, I look that young. You look like you're jailbait. Yes. Just okay, you're 21. Great. I'm twice your age. No, thank you. I'm flattered, but no. You know, like,
Yeah, that's I don't have that problem. So
dude, it's just in this town, like, you know what you get? A lot of young soldiers that get married young, and their husband could be on like a training thing or deployed or whatever, and their ring's not on. Nope, not being that guy either. Not doing that. I'd like to say, since I've gotten older, my moral compass is stuck on north, you know, and I want to keep it. You know, I try not to deviate. You know, it's so true, Isaac. It's horrible. And the thing is, it's like just joking around. I was like I was feeling really good. Like, you know, I cleaned up my chucks and I bought some new jeans. You know, I got a rad new shirt. I'm actually wearing it right now. It says record profits or unpaid wages.
oh, good
And
shirt.
yeah, it's pretty rad, right? And like I was feeling really nice and I was hanging out with the kids for a little bit because they were going to go to their friend's house. And I said, man, like I walked past the mirror and I was like, your dad's got Riz today. And my son goes, ugh, I can't say that ever again.
Thanks for ruining that, Dad.
Like in just the disgust in his voice, I think is what hurt me most. And it's like, bro, half my DNA is yours. You would not exist if it wasn't for me.
It doesn't matter. You're still not cool.
I know.
In that kid's mind, you are Clark W. Griswold.
Mm-hmm.
That's who you. No matter who you think you are when you left the house. Like for me, I'm always Clark W. Griswold. Doesn't matter how cool I think I am in my own head. My kids will remind me how cool I'm not.
Yeah, like my daughter doesn't give me so much shit because like she's really different from her brother in a lot of ways. Like she's, because of how she identifies, like, you know, she's a very proud lesbian and she like, I think she came out of the womb kind of to the left, but now she's like taking that big veer to the left, to the point where she's like, we're still reading The Conquest of Bread together. You know, like who at 15 reads The Conquest of Bread? I didn't read that thing until I was like in my mid 30s, you know? But you know, that's true. That is true. You know what's sad? I was like, my dad to this day still tries to tell me about his, and I'm like, do not.
My dad did that up until his illness. Yeah.
Yeah, like my dad would like call me up and be like, "Hey, son, I just got done slapping ass," and I was just like, "Dad, no, can you not?"
And then your dad yelled out,
"Because I nut quick."
And you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. I'm waiting for the day that he like pops up in chat and he's like, "Son, tell him about the time I took that woman to Pound Town."
Oh yeah. Jam City.
Yeah.
Took somebody to Jam City.
Dude, he texted me and was like, "What was up with that Jam City Pound Town stuff?" And I'm like, "Dad."
Did he laugh at least?
Yes. Like he was like, "I thought that was hilarious, but you know." I'm like, "Dad." I was like, "Homie, you're pushing like 70. What? No."
So these cats are, look, these old dudes by me stay going to Jam City.
Bro,
they
good.
Stay going
Jason, I'm all for it
City.
when it's somebody that isn't my dad. Okay, Isaac's 100% right. You do not want to hear about your parents' sex lives. you know, and I was like the oldest kid growing up. So my mom would come back from dates and be like, hey, I just got lucky. And I'm like 16, like, I'm still young enough and look fuckable. That said, I have a baby girl and my wife right now. That's right. Dude, that's the thing. Vulcan. That is what it is for me. Like when we talk about like weird fetishization, the dad thing has gotten really fucking weird lately, man.
I don't get it.
Really has.
I don't.
I
I'm
don't
so
either.
glad it's not. It's. I'm not going to get into this shit down here because there's a whole other fucked up conversation that I do not feel like having on camera. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
like it's gotten so out of control. You know, like my buddy who's 2 years older than me was like, hey man, yeah, I just started like going on Reddit and meeting younger women. There's like a whole thing for it. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I don't post on there, but there's always these girls that are like, I'm trying to work out my daddy issues. Who wants to be my daddy? And he's like, that's me. You know, and I'm just like,
has he met these people in real life, or are they asking him to send over information for pics?
no, what he does is like he meets people around where he lives, and he lives right outside of New York City. So he's like,
Yeah. Oh, this could be a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people, right? So he has his, his choice, I guess. But I'm just like, you're okay doing this? And he's like, if they want to still have sex with me, I'm down. It's like I'm single, and I'm just like, no, bro. Come on, man.
No, that's not right.
No, it's not, and it just like, I mean, Isaac, yeah, there's something to be said about like hookup culture and how it has affected like dating. But like, I don't want to be a fetish to anybody. Like, I don't want to.
Does it feel like it's just a phase? Is that why?
I mean, kind of,
like,
yeah.
When are you going to get out of your like, I'm going to fall in love with you, and you're going to be like, oh, I'm tired of fucking my dad now. I kind of worked that out, and now I want to, actually have fun.
And on top of that, I don't want to be the person that like screws a woman up for the rest of her life. Either like, it's mostly sexual. Like, I don't want her to be like, oh, okay, Mac, you are all right. But like, she moves on the next dude and he's just doing things to her that I couldn't do because like my hip hurt or like something. My back's sore.
Yeah, like stay up late.
Yeah.
He's not even doing anything cool. He's just fucking staying up a little later.
Have you seen the movie The 5-Year Engagement? It had Jason Sudeikis and Emily Blunt. Well, they're engaged for 5 years, and then something happens, and you should watch it. It's fucking hilarious, dude. But they split up, and he starts dating this younger girl, played by Dakota Johnson, and like they're hooking up. And he like falls asleep and she like elbows him in the ribs and she's like, did you fall asleep? And he like obviously wakes up and he like smacks her on the ass.
No. Oh, dude. Yeah. Look, I'm at a certain point in my life where sex sounds fun, but I'm not trying to do a lot of it. Like when I was younger, I was all for a lot of it. Now it's like, are you old too, where you just want to do enough to feel like you're not that old, and then we can go back and watch some TV? Does that sound like a good thing for you?
Jason like calls up his lady friend. He's like, listen, I got a level with you. Standing sex appointments on Wednesdays.
Ooh, I was saving up all this semen for a twofer on Sunday, which is my I Don't Have to Run Day song reference. But seriously, trying to get this in on a Wednesday is really going to blow out that Sunday. And I don't know. Yeah, can't do it.
We could just put it this way. You get one load on a Wednesday, but you get two on Sunday.
Doesn't that sound better than you trying to come here and have a twofer on a Wednesday? Because I might have enough for a full on, but Sunday it's going to be a little.
Yeah,
it's not going to have the same oomph.
Yeah,
and that's we both have more time on Sunday, right?
Like maybe I tell you what, we can do Sunday and Wednesday, but I have to do some stretching prior to.
Oh, definitely.
Okay? You know,
Definitely.
it's like, sweetheart, I really enjoyed this, but I pulled a hammy. I need you to take me to the doctor right now.
You're trying to do 2 positions on a Wednesday? Ma'am, who do you think I am?
This is a Wendy's.
this is the Wendy's of dick, ma'am. And you are definitely on the 99-cent menu. Like, yeah, it's like, ma'am, don't turn around. I don't have enough in me to fucking handle all this ass right now.
I mean, it's so true too, because like, you know how it is, man. Like you're busy all day, you're just fucking worn the fuck down, and she
Yes.
comes out in like the yoga pants, and you're just like,
yeah, and you're just like, look, everything about this right now looks extremely edible, but I'm just letting you know, I just ate. I'm feeling a little gassy.
Yeah.
The acid reflux is messing with me. As much as I want to go to Jam City,
take that
it's
bullet
not
train.
looking real good. There's traffic right now in Boner City to get me to Pound Town. That's gonna get me the connecting freeway to Jam City, and I just can't get there right now because of this dick traffic.
Yeah, and I'm getting ready to run out of gas too. So like,
there's that.
Yeah.
So we can reschedule this. You can have 4 different positions, a twofer. Doesn't that sound better?
Yeah. And this is what would kill me being down there. If one of the, like, I bring that up, right? Like, I'm with you, baby. I just ate, and you are wearing those yoga pants like a fucking champ, and you got like the cropped hoodie on, and I can kind of see like under boob, and I'm like, I want to get there, but like, I'm not feeling it today.
Oh,
but then she goes, but Poppy, at that point, I would be like, oh, I got to do this now. It's like, let me go get some charcoal. I'll be right back.
So you're a better man than me, because you'll get like the chews and all that other shit. I'm trying to do this with willpower and the force.
Bro, I'll tell you right now, I went without sex for so long between deployments and just like being single, because I don't have an approachable face. Women are, for some reason, think I'm unapproachable. And I'm like, I'm the nicest fucking guy. What the hell's wrong with you? But like now it's like, if it's there, goddamn right. Give me the chew. Let's go. Stretch the hammies beforehand. You
look like an NFL player before a game.
That's right.
When they're on the field doing all the warm-ups.
Mm-hmm. And then when we're done, I go get my ice packs for my knees and shoulder. Take some ibuprofen.
That's why you can't have a young person in your house like, oh, what is that? That's ice for we had sex for a long time. That was 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not a young man anymore. That was 7.5 minutes. I got one knee on the bed, one foot on the floor. I'm trying to get leverage here. My goodness, ma'am.
I'm giving you the best game I got. Stop being greedy.
Jesus. I'm trying to not look winded at the same time. Fuck, I got the fan on because I don't want to just drench you in sweat.
Can we turn the fan off? I'm kind of cold.
I had this great idea. I was gonna fuck you in front of this mirror. Now I see myself and I'm sucking in the gut the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Look here, lady.
Virtuoso, we could do that. Like, I just get like Jason comes over. He's like, Max, so how do you think it went today? Well, she had me in the first half. She did, but we made the in-game adjustment when she got on top, and I think it went pretty well from there. Okay, we're gonna go talk to the lady now. Now, how was Max's performance? Well, you know what? He missed a lot of throws today. Really overshot the receivers. Could have done with a little more nipple play, but I understand.
The nipple play shit is what killed me.
Virtuoso, on the second thought, I don't know if I wanted to oppose sex.
Because that is hilarious. Because in my mind, I picture someone just kind of like after the game, like kind of looking down at the microphone, like, yeah, could have done with a little more nipple play. Mac is good with his fingers, but the head that I received, I was almost coming, and then he had to get it in. But once I got on top, it was a win for all sides.
Yeah,
both teams played hard.
Yeah. I'd like to thank God for this performance.
You're thanking God for the orgasm. Thank God for this orgasm that she was able to achieve. God and the coaches. Thank you very much. Coach Blue Chew over there. Thank you. The other coach, Vibrator. Thank you very much for helping at the end when I wasn't there.
Now, Mac, you looked like you were struggling there for a little bit. Yeah, I was, but I had to go into the toolbox and use everything I had. So we got the vibrator. I got the cock ring out. It was touch and go there for a little bit, but I think we played a full 9 minutes. Full 9 minutes. You can't ask for more than that.
Let me tool in the toolbox. Mac, we thought she had you when she filleted you from the start.
Oh yeah.
How did you not orgasm?
Well, there's a great tool or trick my coach taught me. It was think about baseball. And being a Cleveland fan, I get really disappointed every fucking year. So it helped me going. But then she switched it up and got both hands involved. So I got a little like twist action, and she's playing with my balls. So it was almost over. So I just had to think about the '80s Cleveland teams.
Have you? This is by far the word. This is so. I think it's funny. Oh, I'm scared to read the comments on this one.
Oh, dude, they're top notch right now.
Virtuoso said I failed to reach a cervix, but I was close. I'll reach on the next sex drive. Like I wish that was a thing you could have. Like that is the most guy shit ever. If you could have a post-game interview after sex and hear the other person's side of it.
Yeah, you can do like the quick interview like right after, but then you set up a table with some water bottles, and she comes out and she's like dressed again, and she's like, tough game today. Yeah. But I think we worked well together. His oral game was on point. He wasn't really feeling it in the first half, but I decided, I had to do something to help the team along. So I went down on him, and look what happened. He blew 6 ropes in my face, so I think it was really
Like seriously, that would be the greatest shit ever, because to explain to someone your mindset beforehand and then afterwards and hear the other person like both locker rooms.
Well, dude, it's post-nut clarity, man, right? Like I mean, Virtuoso hit the nail on the head. Brazzers would be all over that idea, so we should pitch it to them and then tell them we get like 20% of, every time that video is played, we get 20% of whatever like ad is and shit. So
that's the only way I could be involved in porn, if it was something that ridiculous where me and you had like those full suits on and we were like, Sarah, you were just black meated.
So Alexis, this was your first spit roast, correct? Oh, it was Mac. It was. So what was the thought process going into it? And then how did you feel after? Well, it was kind of intimidating. Both these guys are packing a hog, if you know what I mean. And be like, I know, we saw it on teleprompter. Jason and I were shocked, you know. Jason's over there like breaking down game film. Now, Mac, look here.
You got a dick here. You got a dick there. Boom.
He's uncut. So
then you got like the Tony Romo kind of guy. When I played with an uncut guy, you had to get ready for an uncut guy because it's a peekaboo. It's a peekaboo effect.
Jason and I are going to Raquel down by the mattress. Raquel, yeah, it's. You should have seen her face. When he pulled down his pants and he was uncut, kind of threw her off, but she got into a real good rhythm, figured out how to roll that foreskin back, and really just went to work on that dick. Back to you guys.
You gotta roll it back.
The thing is, guys would eat that up because it ties sports and fucking together, And
if you can make fantasy sports out of it too.
Oh God.
Like how soon will somebody dude, what's the gambling site? FanDuel. Once FanDuel's able to put a line on how many nuts or how quick your bust comes.
Dude, we'll just start the app ourselves. We'll call it Dick Duel. And just
well, I think we might sell it very quickly.
Yeah.
To the chaps that own Grindr. Back to Jason in the studio. Well, Mac, it looks like you're having a wonderful time at the gangbang.
Jason, yeah, it's kind of crowded in here. They're going for a record for a gangbang done in a 300 by 300 square foot loft. So, that was a load. Just barely missed me. Come back out with like a COVID face shield. Just like,
you're just wearing a hazmat suit. You're just in there in a hazmat suit, looking like the guys that got ET. It's fucking dude. That imagine if you could have that interview, like the person just popped up there, like, so you decided to do it in the car today. It's feeling a little frisky, adventurous. I wanted to know that I'm still kind of, young at heart and not afraid to try new things.
Yeah, and it's you gotta have a great center of gravity because when those guys were taking those turns pretty wide, it's like, yeah, I know, I saw you fell over twice.
Can you imagine? That would be. That's how we make it. Everyone talks about the sellout. Oh, so and so sold out. How I sold out? I'm fucking doing play-by-play on porn.
Yeah, dude.
And it's not really a sellout because I'm having a ball.
Did you see?
And
Joel
maybe I'm even having some balls.
Finkelstein will be our Hubie Brown. Have you ever heard of gooning?
Gooning? This is prime time gooning.
Hey, welcome to the first ever Gooning Bowl. Jason and I are here live to call it. Raquel
Goonathon 24 has started.
We're gonna have 2 people down mattress side at the for the entire thing. We have 24 competitors. 24. Bigger field than last year, right, Jason? That's right, Mac.
Yes, and there's a new wrinkle to the game, if you will. Wrinkle, gooning, get it? A little person's going to touch the testicles of the person 2 hours into their goon to see if they can keep from coming.
Her name's Ashlyn Gray. She's going down with the first competitor. His name's Max Magnum. Oh, and she's got a face full of goo right now.
This is his first goon, and I don't know if he was really ready for the challenge.
I think you're right, Jason. He just didn't seem like he trained enough. Really let his parents down today. What do you think?
What I really want to do is do the you know how they have the human interest stories, and then you do the human interest story of the guy training for the Goonathon. I used to masturbate a lot, and then there's parents he jerked off a lot. He started in the bathroom, and we only have one bathroom and 3 children. So when you have a gooner in the house, It's hard to get bathroom time with 3 people, but I was a gooner. His grandfather's a gooner. But back in our day, we didn't have the professional leagues like this. We amateur gooned for money. It was. I also had a drug problem, but
Oxy got expensive, no matter what they tell you. Okay, when you're using as many pills as I did, Jane, you don't have to talk about that part. Oh yeah.
Someone said world's strongest erection. Every man thinks they've had it at one point in time in their life. And that's what me and Mac are talking about with the Wednesday, Sunday thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's an erection you get where you feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers shaking hands.
That's right.
Predator.
On the amount of blow Teddy was on the night he called me.
Like you feel like your dick is King Kong.
Yep. It's Denzel Washington in Training Day. That's how you feel about your day.
Your dick is yelling out. The little dick mouth is going, yeah, I'm King Kong in this bitch.
King Kong ain't got shit on me.
and you don't want to waste that one.
No.
Because that's the one where when it's over, it's going to be powerful. Like you think you're going to blow the top of somebody's head off.
Yeah.
You feel like you have a weapon. You ever seen Aliens?
Yep.
Remember those big fucking guns?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you think you're carrying.
No, Nuri, are you kidding? Oh, I wonder how they feel about it now with the new kind of definition.
Nuri Yank says Arsenal FC are nicknamed the Gooners. They got to go into every game feeling like that. That is the Sunday boner. The Sunday boner is the aliens plural boner. It's the predator boner.
Yeah.
Like you're just ripped. Dick muscles ripped. Veiny, strong.
Your dick developed a 6-pack.
Oh, dude. Your dick just ripped. It's like a weigh-in.
Just standing up.
Your dick's just like it's ready. Like that's the proudest you're ever gonna be of your dick. Trying to get that in on a Wednesday? No. And if I let you down on the Wednesday, you might not be back on Sunday.
Yeah. Like with that kind of boner and you have a weak game. That's the one where she goes to her friends, right? Ooh. And is like, his dick is immaculate, but the fuck game was bad. And then like you bump into the friends like at the bar, and maybe they've had a little drink already. Maybe it's like Applebee's and it's like $2 margaritas, and they're like, oh, I can splurge today, so I'm gonna have 2, and they end up having 6. And you walk in just to get some boneless wings, watch the game, right? And she's like, oh, it's Jason. Hey, Jason, guess what Esmeralda told me? And you're like, what? What did she tell you? You can't fuck. And you're just like,
yeah, that's not what you never want to see a gaggle of women giggle at you.
No. And then like
Applebee's,
you get the phone out, Jason. You're like, why did you tell her? And she's like, how do you know that I told her? She just had like her body weight margaritas and she weighs 300 pounds and she told me I can't fuck. Well, you couldn't. And you're just like,
because I nut quick.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck that erection. The most impressive moment your penis will have is when you come dust. You're so convinced you blew a load, but just nothing. I'm glad these conversations do, like, people relate to this, so it's not just me and Mac being ridiculous old men.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and let's face it, I think that's happened to like every dude. Like maybe like you, like my buddy has a point. He's like, you don't go out with a loaded weapon. Make sure you bust that nut before you go out. That way you don't have like sex on the brain going out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he's like, dude, just never do that. It's like, maybe you do that. Maybe you're just like so horny that day you go twice and you actually do get lucky and you're like, here it comes. And it's just like, She's like, what?
And you're talking all this. She's like, I'm gonna.
Like your toes are curling so bad you're getting calf cramps. You know, you've got like
I thought it was gonna.
you got the brow sweat, and it's just like, and she's
The
just like,
worst.
I
It's
cleaned
not
it
where
up
you want to
already.
be when Jesus comes.
Yeah, you know,
It's not
Like-
where you want to be when Jesus comes.
Jesus comes back and he's like, "That's all you got, dude."
Just like, whoa, word, really?
Jesus, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, me. Jesus goes, me.
Yeah,
Holy me, you suck.
yeah. I'm the problem here. I just showed up after you busted the weakest nut ever. Listen, I jerked off twice before I came out. I didn't think this was gonna happen.
Nuri Hank says, again, you have been away for an hour, so I have no clue how we got here, but I'm not against it. I look, you guys were gonna, if we would have ended on the crazy story I read to Mac, everyone would have said you have to end on a happy note.
Yeah,
We found a way to end on a happy note, so much so that you don't even remember what I said earlier.
I mean, and Jason and I just created a whole new like vocation for ourselves.
Who doesn't want to watch posts? I'd watch it with anybody.
Oh,
Give
dude,
a fuck who it is.
it'd be great. You know,
Yes.
like
They see those people getting bit, and I would judge. I would totally judge, like, oh yeah, I can probably fucking wear that. I would have
we get
lasted
some like
a little longer,
little dick dude comes in, and Jason's just like, "How did he sign a contract to do porn?"
Yeah. Like every asshole that watches sports, like I could have done that.
Yeah.
I could have done that. Like the
I mean-
opposite of porn, where everybody's like attractive and just fucking hung like this.
They got like a table leg, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like this with the girth of this as well. And it's just like a champagne bottle when they come. Like I'm
Yeah.
not trying to just watch
and
regular people.
Yeah, and the thing is we could like start out like lower level, and it takes off, and we sign like our first big porn star. Like Mia Khalifa comes out of retirement, and she's like, "I'll do this," because she runs like a stupidly successful sports podcast now, focusing on like.
Is she really a sport? I can't tell. I couldn't tell. Is she really a sports fan, or is that just
Dude,
something
it's
she does?
DC teams? Loves the DC teams.
Really?
Yeah, huge Wizards fan.
What would you do if she came on the show? What if she caught this show and was like, I'd totally be a guest on this show?
That would be rad because one, she could actually talk about the games with us. Like,
Yeah.
she could
Like
fucking
we wouldn't have to talk about. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, especially since she's been like retired for so long, like she's away from it. And what I love most about her is everybody already hates her. Like a large part of like very fundamentalist, Muslims were very angry at her, and like some imams like put out fatwas for her death because
Yeah.
she did porn. But now she's like one of the most outspoken like kind of influencers that are pro-Palestine.
Yeah.
So you have some of them that are like, shit, she did porn, but hey man, she loves Palestine. And they're just like,
well, she's Lebanese.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
Lebanese. But I just like
We could get her on to talk about Robert Saleh. That would be, maybe she's got some sort of look. I feel like she would be totally behind the post-sex play-by-play because it's everybody wants post-sex play-by-play.
Yeah, and on top of that, she could be like in the booth with us. Like she's like, oh yeah, because she could be like the veteran that did it, and has like a lot of she could be our Tony Romo.
That's what I'm thinking. She's
Right?
the Tony Romo.
Right?
He's gonna
Like,
do
she's
okay,
like-
right here. He's gonna flip her over. He's gonna go
Watch,
for the
Watch.
doggy
He's
style
starting to slow down. She's gonna
anal
pull,
penetration.
She's gonna pull him out and go down on him. And we're like, there's no way he's gonna charge. Oh, called it again, man. Called it again.
Now she's gonna do the ball tug.
A tug, man? Oh yeah, a tug.
A tug.
Like,
a tug.
You'd like it too, Mac. I don't know. Oh, yep, that.
Just explaining the different maneuvers, like how the tug works. The opposite force on the tug, so you have to like push up and pull down at the same time. kind of like it's silly putty because the balls give like silly putty.
Oh man, dude, we're sitting on a gold mine. We're sitting on a fucking gold mine.
Either that or cancellation, one of the two. I think we're sitting on both at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be people very upset with us, like the conservative white dudes that I don't jerk off and I don't watch porn. I've been married 38 years.
Oof, that poor woman.
Yeah, and can you imagine? Like he like fires it up. He's like, oh hell, oh I want to see that. When it's just our two faces first. Earpiece and microphones. Jason, so today we are in the back of the Bang Bus.
I think that would be like a hilarious skit that could take off into something funny. Like you could probably even do that on like SNL.
Yeah,
you could totally do that on SNL.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like sit down, like all right, like pregame stuff. It's like okay, we have Nia Hartley, one of the longest running porn actresses in the game, and she's like hello, and she's got like that weird lisp, and this is Jacob, whatever porn name he's got, right? So this is your third scene. Yeah, man. It's like he's really up on the mic. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Move that back. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, it's my third scene. So today is a like stepmom, stepson scene. Are you guys have you worked through your lines? Like, how's this gonna go? And Nina's just like, I'm a pro. This is kind of my niche now. Jacob's like, I mean, she's really Jacob again. The mic. Oh.
She's really gorgeous and she smells like the inside of my grandma's purse. Behind the Reds. I'm so everybody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What I'm really sorry about is I started my morning off or my afternoon off talking to a PR person. And I hope they're not frightened. Just know this is just one day a week and everything else is serious.
Yes.
Everything else is serious.
See, Jason and I, we are the whole package. We can do very serious shit. We can have very serious discussions. We put on our serious face and our serious hat. We get our reading done. We do our research, and we have great in-depth conversations with really cool people most of the time. Sometimes we get some assholes in there, but you can't have it all. And then we have our silly side where we talk about sports and setting up a whole new industry. So like,
then there's that. And then there's that.
I think any company would be lucky to have us because we can do it all.
Maybe this is why selling out isn't as easy as people think.
See, and this is especially at the stage of our life. I've got an opportunity in front of me that's really, really big, right? Mm-hmm. Like super fucking big. Mm-hmm. That could potentially make me a lot of money. And one of my friends who is an ardent leftist like we are, maybe a little more militant. Think me about 3 years ago, that kind of militant, right? Gotcha. And he literally goes, you'd sell out like that. I'm like, you have no kids and you live with your mother in the basement. And he's like, hey man, I pay rent. I was like, you pay her $100 a month.
Well, yeah. There's that.
I was like, dude, you don't know how hard it is out there when you're trying to keep a roof over your head. That's right. when you're trying to feed yourself and your family, make sure your kids are taken care of, like just trying to exist. It's expensive. And I am 42 years old and I work at a fucking car dealership. So dude, you can suck my dick I would gladly, if this thing goes through and I could do it, you bet your sweet ass I'm gonna sell out. Okay, like I don't give a
It's
shit.
not even. That's the thing, though. These cats have this idea that that selling out is easy, and that you can make these pivots. I think there's this magical idea that you can just one day, like I could just one day call up Fox News and go, "Hey, I'm a black guy, and I used to have a leftist show, and now I want to talk about why crime is up, and why we need tough on crime laws, and why people in the
Hey,
world
Fox News, I want to be your Uncle Ruckus.
You know, the guy Coleman Hughes. I'm way smarter than Coleman Hughes, and I'm probably a little more charming than the Coleman Hughes, and I can be better. I can be better. I can be better. Am I pretty? And it's like it's not that easy, right? It's Van Jones never made a pivot. He was always that.
Yeah.
Right? There's people that have come on this show that knew him in college before he was on television and said he was that.
Mhm.
So sometimes these things aren't the biggest. They're not these ideological turns like people want them to be. And you know, I also don't give a shit what a lot of people say.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I always throw out this argument. I'm like, dude, do you think bands like that worked for years just to get their music like pressed into vinyl and then made it big, do you think they're sellouts? And like they always go, well, some of them are. And I'm like, dude, no. When you work that hard to refine your craft and you put out an album that suddenly everybody loves, and you sell 11 billion of them, that's not selling out, you know?
But
Like, do
that's the
you
thing.
want to be the struggling band that is like going to shit fucking podunk towns in the back of a van?
Hey, you leave me alone. I don't appreciate
I mean,
anything you just said right now.
Yeah.
About my life.
But I'm just saying, like, you don't want to do that forever. You maybe, I mean, if I was a musician, I'm like, my goal is that big fucking bus that someone else is driving so I can fucking take rails off of some groupie's ass cheeks in my little cubbyhole. Like, that's.
And here's the thing, Mac. Most musicians have the same goal, regardless of what they talk about, regardless of genre. Most people want to be successful.
Yeah.
I've never met a person that's like, I would love the toil and obscurity and never sell a record. Once you decide to be a serious musician and you're going to go tour and you're going to sell your music seriously and you're going to get a deal, even if it's with an independent small label, you can call all those people sellouts if you want to, because everyone's answering to a market at that point, right?
Yeah.
So for me personally, as someone that has done it as real as you can do it on a level at, and been around some pretty massive stars, worked with some pretty massive stars. The one thing I appreciate, like Saturday, I'll pitch the Saturday show. Chris Kontos is coming on the show Saturday. For those that know, Chris Kontos played in a bunch of metal bands. Right now he's in Forbidden, but we're going to be talking about the first Machine Head record that he played on, Burn My Eyes. 1994. It's been 30 years since that record. At the time, it was Roadrunner's biggest selling debut until I think Slipknot. And he went from punk kid to you're playing stadiums. I believe he told me they went from opening for Slayer and it was a game changer for them to here's buses and you have this, I think he said it was like Saxon's lighting rig and all this other stuff that they had never used before because they were just a band that played clubs.
Yeah.
You go from clubs to like arenas. Like it's crazy. And if selling out was the goal, then you can say that they're sellouts. I would never call those people sellouts because they're not rich in the way that people think rock guys or just any musician is rich.
Yeah.
And they were doing it in the era of people actually buying records. So they actually the money's different when people were buying records, and there was a thing like a radio and MTV was a thing and blah, blah, blah. But the guys that I've been fortunate enough to know are so down to earth still that they've been willing to like help.
Yeah.
And that's like they don't have to. There's nothing to gain at that point. They could be dicks to me. I don't have a social media presence that can hurt them. I don't have connections that can hurt them. You can be a doucher. And I'll tell you, most people that are douchers are up and comers. Those tend to be the worst.
Mhm.
But getting to know these cats over the years really helped me redefine this idea of a sellout and these pivots to pop music and yada yada and what you're trying to do and da, da, da. You're always chasing something once you've gotten a little bit of success.
Yeah.
Even in this arena of podcasting, this show on this channel does not get the views that the regular show gets. It is literally something I enjoy doing with my friend Mac.
No.
And
I will say this, not yet. Not yet.
I just like I want to keep doing it because I want to keep doing it.
And the minute we pass one of the regular episodes, Jason, I'm just gonna like I'm a text or a DM Torre and Pascal and be like, beat you bitches. You know?
I do look at those. I do look at those numbers because it doesn't influence the shows that we do, for example, on this channel, because this is election season and everybody needs to be talking about the election, right? And sometimes a little bit of unveiling here. If we're stuck, instead of canceling a day, and especially if I'm like driving to see my kid or something, I'll be like, oh, maybe we can do something based on this aspect of the election that isn't quite the election, but it's still the election, but it's something that makes me feel less dirty.
Yeah.
And it does crazy numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I think a lot of that has to do with honestly, there's a limited amount of leftist spaces that you can take seriously. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Talking about American politics makes me feel like I need to shower afterwards. You know? Yeah. But like when, like, say you and I did that, it would, because a lot of leftists want to know what because there's so many people conflicted.
Yeah.
Because like I look at voting as like, it's like that really small screwdriver that you use to like fix sunglasses. It's that tool in your toolbox, right? Like, it's shitty, but it's one of the things in there and it has a use, right?
What an interesting analogy.
Yeah. But like somebody asked me if I plan on voting, and I said I will vote from like local to state, but I won't vote in federal. I just won't. And they were like, well, why? And I was like, well, state laws affect me and my family more than federal laws do. And I was like, I feel less dirty about that, especially considering that the North Carolina GOP has a candidate that said gay people should be sent to camps.
Yes.
So that with a daughter who is gay, I feel like he should not be in office. And the way I can prevent this is to vote for the person that's running against him. And they're like, well, what about Donald Trump? And I was like, listen, he's a bag of smashed assholes. And he's like, well, what do you think about Harris? She's a bag of smashed vaginas. Like, that's just, they're both awful. They're not good. And I was like, I don't feel like I need to vote in federal elections because I'll never be represented there until the left actually gets off their ass and decides to put, an actual election agenda together. But we won't ever have that.
Or be strong enough, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's a long look. We had a conversation on the TIR personal chat about that, and it was an uncomfortable one that Derek Varn had with everybody.
Of course, it's Varn, kind of.
Yeah, Varn, like it was raw boo boo. Boo boo. Whole chat smelled like raw boo boo.
Yeah.
And I went off one day. I was by myself, and that's never good. And I just vented because I did a show that I thought was a very important topic that really pertains to where we are right now, and that's this idea of harm reduction and it as kind of panacea for treating addiction and also kind of poverty in a way. And I think it's complicated. And I want to have those kind of in the weeds talks because there's laws passing all the time. And in states like California, they're passing more laws to actually enable people to throw people into facilities easier. Excuse me. And there's a reason why these laws were in there in the first place, to make it more difficult to just put adults in facilities. And I wrote a paper about it, about how I feel about it. And I used real statistics, I used real laws, but the conclusion is something that we don't know yet because it's not really legal here on a federal level. But I see that the solution is a very dark one. I don't want to get into it. You can read it. There's wherever you're watching the show, there's a link to the article. But nobody wanted to talk about that because it doesn't have the same kind of drama and soap opera-esque atmosphere that people like. And
it's ostrich syndrome. I'll put my head in the sand to ignore state laws that are actually going to affect you a lot more. And I'll pull my head out when it's something, like Trump posted something on Truth social media again, right? And it's sad because you're absolutely right. When you start giving the state, and that could be big S or little s, the ability to just put people in facilities, very bad things can happen out of that.
But it's complicated, right? Like I have a friend right now that's just dealing with a family member that is severely bipolar and schizophrenic and drug addicted, got into it with a drug dealer where he owed somebody money. And the dude was like, you just need to rob a bank.
No. And
so his brother went into a bank with a note and said, right. And I'm not going to get into the whole case, but the problem that he feels he has is my family needs help, and there's state-sponsored help that he had, but he can just leave that facility, but I don't want him to go to prison. I don't know if that's going to be the help that he needs. There's a difference.
He won't get the help there because if he is on certain medications, while a prison is supposed to supply them, I mean, there's been so much evidence that states that people with mental, issues aren't getting the medications they need. So like that is not the place you'd want to send a guy like that. And it's weird because the one thing that I will agree with Bernie on is the mental health aspect. A lot of the Nordic countries where they have like the state-sponsored facilities for people with those issues, where it's not so much like you can check in and check yourself out. Like it's kind of like a living center. And there's people, it's not it's not set up like a hospital. Like you have an apartment, right? And there's a doctor there on call. Like it's just very different. It's more like
yes. Healthcare in the rest of the world looks so different, and that's kind of part of what I write about. Like there's so many things lacking in the States that these kind of one size fits all solutions that we always see, and also kind of looking at other countries wrongly, especially Portugal, which we talked about in the show. And like, you can see the number of people that are watching. Like nobody, like there was less people watching that show than what we have right now. And kind of hurt my feelings.
Well, I mean, I'm about quality over quantity, and we have very rad fans.
I think. So I'm still surprised motherfuckers are watching this event. But I got mad, and I was like, all this shit, because it was the night of the debates.
Yeah.
And I was like, all this shit is just fucking pro wrestling, and it's a bunch of bullshit. And I actually started naming people's shows that I wasn't fans of. And there's these two cats that always show up when I'm doing when I'm uploading stuff, and I'm like waiting for shit to upload and download and stuff. And their headlines get me every time. It's always like, Sam Cedar exposes Anna Kasparian's lies. I'm like, wow, but I want to see. I just want to see like so and so destroys the other person.
Yeah.
And I watch, and there's never a destroying, and there's not really lies exposed, and it just becomes this moralized weird game of balls and strikes, and then these made up conversations about who's making a pivot to the right. And I don't think any of these people understand that there's not a system where you can like I can't just call, was it the Daily Wire? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Like I can't just call the Daily Wire and be like, hey, I'm Jason Miles. This is how big my platform is. Do you mind if I, go to your side for a while? Because I might not get accepted. There's that, first of all.
Ben Shapiro's always looking for people to fill content. Now listen, Jason.
Now we have our black guy here to tell us how much.
Now listen, you're going to be my token, and I also am going to need you to talk about how vaginas aren't naturally supposed to be have any kind of lubrication in it. Like my wife's a doctor and said that it's not supposed to be like that. If you have it, it's a very bad medical condition. I don't wear lips in my boots.
I don't wear lips. Like I couldn't do. There was an opportunity. And it wasn't about me making a pivot to the right. There was just an opportunity for me to take a radio gig. And I remember I told you about this. You know about the
Yep.
real side of this. And they wanted a right-leaning person and a left-leaning person to fight. And their thing was, if you're on the show with this person, meaning me, you might agree too much. Like that's just what people want to consume. And this wasn't coming from a mainstream media outlet.
Yeah.
This was like far left leaning media outlet. So everybody wants to see the friction.
Yeah.
To the point where people think the friction is politics.
Conflict and fucking sells. Like that's the truth of it,
And it's crazy. And then that's all people do. Oh, so and so said something, and let's say why so and so something is wrong. And this person did, and that's like, look, man, if that's all you want to do, like it's seriously, that's you and do you. I just don't care. I just don't care. And if you care that much, maybe this isn't the show for you. Because we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about goofy shit like fucking play-by-play, post-game, post-nut clarity play-by-play.
That's right. We're bringing John Stallion out for his post-nut interview. All right, John. Go ahead, Jason. Yeah. So, not going doggy today. You decided you were gonna pick her up and do a standing 69. What was the thought process behind that? Well, I had a good lift this morning, and I knew I could pull it off. It was risky, I know, but it had to be done. Sometimes you gotta do things different. If you want to, give her the best nut that you can. So it just seemed right in the moment. But hey, good question, Jason. Thanks, man.
A standing 69 is that thing you do when you're like, it's love.
and when you're 25, okay, like don't. All right, we got Jimmy Cox McBalls over here. Jimmy, you're 46 years old. We saw the knees give out on the standing 69. What? Yeah, Mac, it was, it's something I've done a million times. I'm going to have to get together with my coaching staff, have a long talk about this. I dropped a girl on her head today with my dick in her mouth. It wasn't.
Oh my God. I so hope no PR companies are watching this shit. Like, I'm terrified to check my email right now. This is the lighter side. Remember, it's a serious show tomorrow. Very serious show tomorrow. He said, Nuri says, Jason and Ben may be on the vanguard if they associate with the evil Anna too much. I would love if those guys gave enough of a shit about me to like talk about me, because I don't dig them, and I just think they're ridiculous. I think everything they do is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I would laugh so hard.
at one point I watched the Majority Report, but when they started just getting in, when it became less about like talking about real issues of people and more about what they're pissed off that day about, I was like, dude, this ain't for me, man. And then it's just a lot of the bigger names in our spaces. I just, you know what else is great, guys? We could set up like the blue injury tent, like. Well, Jason, we got a great matchup today. It's Alexis Steele and Alexis Texas. As you know, Alexis Steele is packing at least a foot, is big around as a Pepsi can. He's going 8. Alexis is down. She's down. Medics are coming out, taking her to the tent. We'll get a word here in a moment. They're saying no, she can't return to action. All right, so Jason, look up the roster. Who's on the 2 deep there? Well, Mac, we got an anal specialist. All she does is take it in the butt.
Dude, when you said the blue tent for head injuries, oh my God. Oh my God. This is why. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry for myself. Because I did this. I can't blame Mac. He had no intentions of going anywhere that he's went today.
No, but see, when I see an opening, much like Joe Stallion, I go right in.
I see the tent and I just hear the people, they're into the blue tent, sponsored by Blue Chew.
Yeah. We've got our Alexis is heading to the injury tent, sponsored by Blue Chew. Jason, it's time for ad read. Oh shit, that's right. Hey, you feeling like a limp noodle? Not enough lead in the pencil? Well, for $23 a month, you can get a subscription to Blue Chew with just a few simple clicks on your mouse. You could be double clicking her mouse in no time. Back to me at the injury tent.
This is why. Again. Jason sold out. He made a right wing. No. Why the fuck would I sell out to not make any money? I would ruin my career. And I don't have much of one now. If you want to see a real sellout, it is me doing play-by-play for Brazzers.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Doing my ad read for the Blue Chew tent. Another one down to the Blue Chew tent. Oh, man. We got a tight one today. This always happens when they try to get 2 in one hole.
Yeah, Jason, I don't understand the allure of double penetration of the butthole, but apparently this is her third go-round. When we interviewed her earlier, she said that it's gotten progressively easier. But by the look on her face, and like we pan in, like we do the Zoom shot, she's just like...
Whatever happened to the dude whose girlfriend was yelling at him? We must have really pissed that guy off.
Oh, man, that's right. After that episode, he wasn't allowed to come back.
We did a whole episode on his girlfriend and how she dressed. God damn, we must have pissed that guy off. Person whose girlfriend we teased that day. We teased in a nice way, though.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't say that she starred in one of the scenes that Jason and I are doing play-by-play.
No, we did not say that about your girlfriend at all.
No, we did not.
No.
I mean, we may have said she gives unenthusiastic blowjobs. But
I think we did say that.
We did say that.
I think we did say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did say that. But we figured it was reverse psychology and it'd be better for you.
No.
We didn't know you'd get a fucking Indian burn on your dick.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have an unenthusiastic blowjob than a way too vigorous hand job. That's all I'm saying. Dr. Claw, you did not just say that. The Tampa 2.
The Tampa 2. The Tampa 2.
Oh, that was Matthew. He said the Tampa 2 butthole defense.
Dude. We did say she gave unenthusiastic blowjobs.
We did. We did.
Ooh, I'm so sorry, dude. But again, our hopes were that you got the most enthusiastic blowjob.
Because we talk shit. You know, like we let her know, like we put her on blast, like, hey, that happened. And then she was like, oh, these two motherfuckers, And she like,
she had a dry hand. She had a vigorous,
of our cultural scion. She hot toed and spit on that thing.
That's what we hoped. And unfortunately, you got a dry jack and a unenthusiastic blowjob with a rapid hand movement, which just means she's Rocky Balboaing your ball bag.
Yeah, and like she like tossed the rag at him. She's like, clean yourself up, and then she.
You look a fright.
Oh God, it's all over my hand. Oh.
And she just put it on his
wipes it on his shirt.
It's like his favorite fucking Star Wars shirt, too.
He's just like, oh, you put nut on Luke.
I got this in Urban Outfitters. What the fuck?
You put nut on Luke's face.
Oh my God. Dude, if you're watching right now, if you're sneak watching, dude, we are so sorry. We are so sorry. Everything we did was love.
Yeah. And Joey,
we wanted you to get that, what do they call it? Sloppy toppy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and Joey, when Jason and I get this porn play-by-play thing going, what we'll do is we'll let you be one of the camera people. Okay. That's the least we could do. I just hope you have your own face shields. Our budget isn't big enough to buy them for you.
I was going to say you need that for.
Yeah. You're going to need that.
I knew especially that did porn camera work, and he said you have to have a blast shield.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, some of those dudes, man, like shoot it across the room. Imagine being like the lighting guy, or this like the guy who holds the boom mic. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman in Boogie Nights. You're just standing there. You're just like, I wonder what I'm gonna get to eat tonight. And you just,
oh, you caught a stray. Oh. Who wants to catch a stray?
And he's just like, all right, guys, I'm done for the day.
And they're all looking at you like, it's just part of the job, man.
Yeah.
Part of the job.
Hey, man, it's just fucking rub some dirt in it, bro. You're going to be fine. All right. It's in my eyes and it's burning. And like the woman pipes up like, now you know how I feel, asshole. I'm just like, oh God.
I hold the light, Samantha. Shut up. This was your life choice.
I'm holding the boom mic. I went to film school for this, okay? Like, you decided to suck dick on camera.
Oh, yeah, everybody just turns into a shitty fucking man. I'd turn into Jordan Peterson if I got nutted on in the face. This is the problem with... Why do I sound like Norm Finkelstein?
And on that note, guys, I have to call it because I do have to get up in the morning. I've got a meeting with my doctor who's going to tell me, hopefully, I don't have to have another back surgery. So that'll be great.
Let's cross our fingers for back surgeries. Let's also
cross our fingers for that guy holding the boom mic. Just got frosted, bro. Yeah, you did.
Where's Tony? You got frosted.
Ooh. Oh. Guys, Tony went to film school? Yeah, I know. You know how I got this job? I answered an ad on Craigslist.
Tony went to film. Tony got frosted, bro. I don't think he's coming back, man.
Yeah, it was Lexus. He just shot that thing from across the room. Pretty sure he aimed it at Tony. Oh, I'm pretty sure he did too, man.
You know Lexus, man. It's kind of viscous.
Yeah. Lexus asked him to fill up his water bottle. Tony said, I went to film school. I hold the boom mic. I'm not your assistant. I think Lexus was a little offended at that because he is the star here.
That's true.
And he just shot a rocket in his face, man. How bad was it? Tony was covered from like forehead to chin. It was wow, impressive.
You ever seen that movie Ghostbusters, bro? I didn't think a human could do that. Yeah, I think Tony's gone for a while, at least till the Rents do, bro.
Yeah. Did he take he took the boom mic too? Fuck. All right. Hey, Hannah. Yeah, I see your nipples are pierced. We're gonna put a mic on there. Is that cool? All
right. Just a lapel mic, and all you hear is like,
I love it. You love it. I love it. Who loves it? You love it. Oh,
that's all.
He pushes her head down and like she's just tits on the mattress.
Then it's just this. Then it's just this, and it's just
yeah. Oh.
It's just no in between.
They're like, hey guys, we didn't get the nut, like no audio on it because like you busted on the mic, which is that's kind of fucked up, man. But
so it's just in and out. It's just like I want you ace.
Sounds like fucking the video itself's buffering, but it's just the audio, you know.
The video's buffering.
Go to the
That's
director.
Also part of...
Director's just sitting there like smoking a cigarette, and the ash is like this fucking long. What's the problem now, man? Hey, listen, the sound's not going to match up very well. Like the lapel mic that we put on the nipple ring, just nut gun on it. Like
it doesn't sound like you think it's going to sound. This might need to be a silent movie.
All right, listen, man, just upload the shit. Brazzers isn't going to give a fuck. And the guy with his volume turned all the way down on his phone, beating off next to the wife, is not going to give a shit. Just, I put out 2 movies in 98, and this is what I'm doing now with my life. This is horrible. All right, what's the next scene? It's a stepdaughter, stepdad. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's go.
Off next to his wife with the volume down. Is no one gonna care? That would be the funniest shit ever, though. If you just had a lapel mic on a nipple ring like that, it would sound insane.
Listen, modern problems require modern solutions.
It would be like,
yo, Mike, oh my God.
It was like a 911 call.
Yeah, when your boom mic guy gets hit in the face with a load of goo, you got to come up with a solution. And the lapel mic on the nipple ring is a good one. Yeah.
I am so afraid to read these comments after this. I am so afraid. We've been getting more comments from the Champagne Room, like people watching the Champagne Room show and like commenting on it, which is fine. You know, all the comments, even mean comments are fine. It's what I sign up for, right? But this one is going to be. I'm going to be screenshotting you a lot of fucking stuff. Magadocious.
Dude, I was on top of my game today.
You're pretty fucking. My head hurts. I've laughed so hard.
Dude, I had a phenomenal back workout today. I had a great lunch. You know, it was a good day today. So I brought my A game. You know, I was
like Ben Burgess was watching the show for a little bit. I hope he tuned in to watch what it sounds like for a boom mic on a nipple ring in a porn movie.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we bring a lot of different things, you and I, to this media space, you know, and I swear to God, if Jason and I, before we can get this set up, sees somebody did it, I will kill somebody.
I'd be very hurt. I'd be so hurt.
Yeah.
At least give us props. At least like there's these crazy dudes that do this shit. Like give us props so it helps a little, but don't just steal the idea and act like you created it yourself. You're not that fucking funny.
Yeah. Like
you can't do the fucking nipple boom mic guy leaving.
Yeah. You couldn't come up with Tony who went to film school and now he's just holding the boom mic at porn. He thought he was going to be directing the next great fucking Oscar winner, but no. Tony forgot that this is the real world.
Tony forgot how rent works.
Yeah, Tony realized that moving out to LA wasn't exactly the best idea because he wanted to make movies, and he's like, I got to pay my rent for my 400 inch room that I have that I rent from this fucking guy that just smells like patchouli all fucking day long, trying to fucking hawk a screenplay that nobody wants. So yeah, I hold the boom mic at the porn so I can make a great film someday. That's right. That's what we do. We break new ground. We're awesome.
Here, such diverse topics, best sportscast around. I want to read some of the comments from the show today. This is from Ben Burgess. It is what it is, man. I wish people would just shut the fuck up and enjoy it. Applies to so many things.
It's true.
Isaac said it's rad when undrafted low draft picks rock. I agree.
Yes.
Chris Harris. Yes, that was an undrafted pick from the Broncos that had a very good career in the NFL. I don't know about Hall of Fame, but he's close. I think Mahomes' injury is key to beating the Chiefs. LOL. That's just mean.
Probably true though.
That was back in the day when being a pocket QB was assumed and associated with whiteness at quarterback. Yes.
Very
now we have
true.
CJ Stroud, who is a pocket QB. Well, before him, we had Byron Leftwich. Mac looks like he'd beat most people in my local ball anyway.
Probably not far from the truth.
Crypt Keeper Jason has a third story, which is a most ghastly tale titled "The House Guest Who Wouldn't Remove Their Shoes." That's very true.
The house guest who brought a lady friend and fucked her on my kitchen.
Oh my God! What a rude house guest!
That's
I would bleach them. I have a bleach spray bottle. I was like a dog. Like, what are you
Jason
doing?
Jason comes out and he stretches and he goes out to the counter. He's like, are those cheeks? Oh, those are cheeks.
Like a trained detective, I smell it.
Yeah.
I have a 20-something-year-old cousin who puked in my face when I was throwing him in the air when he was 1. I bring it up at every opportunity. You are a horrible yet funny person. Because that's pretty funny, actually. This I thought was a great comment. Mac got like fresh out the joint prison stories.
I mean, DC, when you get out of the military, that's essentially what you have are prison stories. Hard to have Riz if you're always being mogged by Genesee.
There you go.
That one hurts too much. It's funny, but
no one wants to think about their dad's sex life. That is very true.
Yep.
Is very true. And last but not least, it looks like I'm 35, still young enough and look fuckable. That said, I have a baby girl and my wife right now. No way I'd give in to any teenage girl looking
work out her dad issues.
Looking to work out her dad issues. I don't need the validation. That's
Nope.
great. Those are all great comments. I'm going to start saving all the great comments and we're going to start reading them off at the end of the shows. Because one of the things that Toussaint and I always talk about at the end of the show is like, and because the last show we did, which we talked about microfinance and like the problematic nature of microfinance globally. And the author, who a pretty well-renowned author, had actually been on some TV shows. She emailed us back after the show and she was like, you guys have some really informed people that watch the show. Your viewers are really smart. I was watching the chat. I was like blown away. It's a great show you guys have. We're like, oh, thank you so much. So I want to start reading these comments off because you guys are just as much a part of the show. You help with this insane fodder as well.
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, that's the best.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
That's the best part about the show is everybody that tunes in, because even if they don't catch it live, you can still catch some of the shit they say on Twitter and in Patreon.
Yeah.
It's fucking phenomenal, dude.
It's the only thing that fucks me up is sometimes people are commenting live time and I can't tell. So sometimes they just look like insults. They're insults about whatever we're talking about. Like someone wrote a comment. It was like, rest in piss, motherfucker. And I was like, man, that's on Patreon. You paid like $3 to say that, but it's like there's like, oh, it was because of a show. Got
It's like if you want to pay to insult me, that's cool, but like realize that money is going into my pocket. Oh, you weren't insulting me. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, that's why I can't comment back on. I have to I get one comment a month now. I get one comment a month that I can, and that's it.
That's good. That's good. I mean, set your limits. You know, that's always
And
good.
no rollovers. So if I have a
No.
month where I don't say anything, no rollover. I don't get two. That's it.
This ain't AT&T in the early 2000s. There ain't
Oh,
no rollover
man.
minutes.
There's no rollover comments. Yeah.
No.
No. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'll be back tomorrow night with a returning guest, Owen Schock, who wrote a really good book about Canada and the way they kind of hide their imperialism. And Owen's come on several times to talk about Canada, and he finally has a book that he co-wrote, and I think you guys are going to dig it. So that's tomorrow night, but tonight is a night for lovers. So I hope everybody out there gets great intercourse.
That's right. And no jizz in your face.
And
Unless you
want it.
Yeah.
You want it. If you
Yeah.
don't, I hope it doesn't hit you accidentally, because that's rude,
Yes.
disrespectful. You see what it did? What did we call that guy?
Poor Tony.
Tony.
Poor
See what it did
Tony.
to Tony. Tony went to film school.
That's right.
We didn't
Like,
say
he
which
would-
one, but he went to film school.
Yeah.
It was like
He would-
DeVry Film School, but he went to film school nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, he just wanted to make movies. He wanted to be the next Scorsese. And instead, Lexus Steele is shooting him in the face with cum.
I've never seen anybody hold their dick like a super soaker till Tony got hit in the face with that load. And on that note, we are